I think that literally is the basis of the entire song.
As long as it rhymes, it's good.
Yeah, I didn't check if it all rhymes. He just says lots of stuff. What would the modern one be? What?
Oh, it could be dodgy enough now. No, I wouldn't be going there now. But I'll be going here now, because Mary Rogers in Arramore is celebrating her birthday today, and it comes in from your grandchildren, Colin and Enya and Carrigan's, wishing you well. There you have it, Greg. Have a good show.
All right, Lee, you have a goodie. All right, see you tomorrow for your last show of the week. It is the 9 till noon show now, though, and at 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update and say good morning for the first time on this programme to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A government minister says Cabinet could consider some targeted measures to bring down fuel costs. It comes as new ASRA research shows almost 3 in every 10 households are living in energy poverty. That figure is set to rise to 4 in 10 if energy costs continue to rise into another quarter. The ESRI says targeted measures would help, but Junior Agriculture Minister Pippa Hackett says non-targeted measures such as VAT cuts also have their place.
I think it's unfair to say that they're ineffective. I think they support people in different ways. They might in fact bring about different behavioural changes in people, which is in the longer term is an important thing. But I would agree that certainly targeted measures will have to be looked at.
Letterkenny Milford Municipal District's been told keeping the town open will be a major priority for Gardaí over Rally Weekend. Councillor Jerry McMonigal, who chairs the Joint Policing Committee, says there have been very productive discussions between the Council, Gardaí, Letterkenny Chamber and the rally organisers to ensure that disruption is minimised. Donegal County Council is being asked to consider allocating its vacant houses through a choice-based letting model, which would involve advertising vacant properties and inviting people to register an interest. The change was suggested by Councillor Michael McBride, who said it could speed up the letting process. Officials told him while choice-based letting will be used for properties that have had a number of refusals, an extension of that model isn't envisaged in the short term. It is, however, being kept under review. Councillor McBride believes a change would help streamline the system.
If we look at the turnaround on county council houses, some of them could take up to a year to get them relet again. I think that's totally unacceptable, particularly in the current housing climate. 3 to 4 months is, in my opinion, more than ample time for the turnover any house. I know if it was in the private sector, it'll be turned over in a couple of months, and I think it's wrong that we have council houses lying empty, taking that long to turn over, and I think we have to change that.
Parts of the country will see a mini heatwave before the weekend, but it will largely bypass Donegal. Temperatures hitting 22 degrees in parts of the country this afternoon. That'll rise to almost 25 degrees tomorrow. The weekend will see cooler temperatures and more unsettled weather. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather says the southeast will see the best of it.
Temperatures getting up to 22 degrees in some sunshine today, and possibly even as high as 24 degrees for a time on Friday. But really, apart from the southeast, it will be much cooler in the northwest, with temperatures struggling to get above 18 or 19 degrees.
Cloudy with patchy rain at times this morning, brightening up this afternoon. Temperatures ranging, as Alan said, there between 15 and 19 degrees Celsius. Light to moderate southerly winds. Cloudy tonight with rain becoming heavier and more prolonged toward morning. Overnight lows 12 to 14 degrees. That's Highland Radio News. Back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
If you're 65 or over, or you have a weak immune system, you can now get your second COVID-19 booster vaccine. Your vaccine is due 4 months after your last vaccine. It will improve your protection from COVID-19. You can book a vaccination centre appointment on hsc.ie or contact a participating GP or pharmacy. For more information on your second booster or to book an appointment, visit hsc.ie or call our team in HSE Live on 1800 700 700. From the HSE, for us all.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 3 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 16th of June. I was hearing Donald there mentioning the weather and looking at some of the temperatures around the world. In Spain, they're heading into their second heat wave, if they're not already, up around close to 40 degrees. North America, the same. I don't know, maybe the pushing to get to 18 or 19 in our areas, not the worst thing in the world, is it? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number, please. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. A very good morning to you as you join us. If you choose to watch us on our website, highlandradio.com. We stream live for you there. We can see the show. Most of our guests too join us on video, so could be entertaining for you. If you prefer, go directly to our YouTube and Facebook channels. Get involved there. Right, let's look at the newspapers this morning. Tyrconnell Tribune: government fails Micah families again. A year to the day since 20,000 backed the first Micah march in Dublin. The latest proposals for redress from the Housing Minister have fallen flat because Darragh O'Brien has ruled out pre-legislative scrutiny and a number of other key objectives of the campaigners. Pre-legislative scrutiny has been one of the red lines all along for the campaigners, who now say they've given up on this government after 2 attempts to get it right. The Micah campaigners may now be forced to look beyond this government for a solution after the next general election. Pressure will now mount on the Donegal's government deputies to support the campaign, and this will intensify between now and mid-July. And if the Micah campaign is forced back on the road to Dublin, there'll be no hiding place for the politicians. And I was listening back to a couple of programmes in 2019 leading up to October 2019 and the day of the announcement of that Micah redress scheme, the 90-10, the so-called 90-10. And my word, a lot of it was like deja vu. It feels very much like history could be about to repeat itself again. Here's hoping that is not the case. The Derry People Donegal News this morning: 3 special sittings of Letterkenny District Court have been organised for this weekend to deal with arrests made at the Donegal rally. The unprecedented number of sessions have been confirmed as a Garda tried to head off a repeat of last year when 53 people were fined or prosecuted. The arrests were made despite the cancellation of official rally events due to the pandemic. The bulk of the summonses were related to driving offences, but penalties were also issued for misuse of drugs, public disorder and other relatively minor crimes. And I suppose if we're out in the roads, you know, even if you're a careful driver, you just don't know what the other person's going to have to do. And if someone else is being irresponsible, we have to keep our wits around us, don't we, to ensure that we're not dragged into their RTC. It'd be lovely if we could think nothing like that's going to happen, but unfortunately it may, and that's the sad reality. And also, too, it's not really the rally. It's people that probably won't see one stage of the rally that will be up doing their thing. And it tarnishes then the reputation of the actual rally, which is obviously very professionally run and generally watched by true rally fans that aren't actually doing all the diffing and what have you. It has, though, taken many months to finalise cases, largely due to the number of defendants from outside the county and in some instances Northern Ireland. That's just to wrap up the front of that paper there. The Donegal Democrat tells us that a 47-year-old male has been charged with people trafficking in County Donegal. Adriano Kelo Alves Piexoto, a Brazilian with an address at Dunwiley Road, Stranraer, was granted bail under strict conditions when he appeared at Falcarra District Court. Gardaí from the Human Trafficking Investigation and Coordination Unit at the Garda National Protective Services Bureau carried out an operation in Letterkenny on Monday. It was related to an ongoing investigation into organised crime, human trafficking, organised prostitution and money laundering. Detective Garda Peter Breen of the Human Trafficking Investigation and Coordination Unit gave evidence of arresting the gentleman at Letterkenny Garda Station on June 14th at 20:47 p.m. And if they're involved in running, obviously any allegations that people are involved in running prostitutions, there obviously lots of people must be availing of such services. No wonder was any documentation secured in that regard. The Derry News this morning: new principals confirmed for 2 Derry schools. Pupils at 2 Derry schools will be greeted by new principals when they return to class after the summer break. St Joseph's Boys and St Celia's College, both in the Cregan area of the city, have confirmed the new head teachers to succeed outgoing principals. They are Mary Jo Carolyn and Ciara Dean, both pictured on the front of the paper today. I have no good news for you in terms of the cost of living, unfortunately, because the ESRI has done a study as it relates to where our bills might be going. And this is covered in the front of the Irish Independent and all papers as well. We are in an absolute crisis. Already almost a third of us are in fuel poverty by definition. And judging by some of the predictions, it's going to get much worse for many more people. Again, people having to make very tough decisions as it relates to heating and food and other essentials, not luxuries, essentials. Many people listening to this programme are choosing between essentials. It's not whether or not they'll downgrade their Sky Sports package or whether or not they'll not go away this summer. It's actually whether or not they can buy the same amount of food to cover fuel charges, or whether or not there'll be no heating for the winter, so as to ensure that children can be dressed for school and a meal heading out in the morning. That's the reality. A lot of people living in that reality. And of course, all eyes are on the government to say, well, what are you going to do about it? Governments govern. And if it's people are in a crisis and there's spare money available, you utilise that money, don't you, to try and help people. I hope no one's looking at their legacy and saying, you know, what will history record in 15 or 20 years that, you know, we balanced the book and we had the economy in growth in this year and that year as we predicted. I hope people are looking at the money, the decision makers, and saying, right, if we have a few billion here now is the time to help the people. And not everyone, and not the rich, but the people that struggle the most. We know who they are because the system is set up as such. You know, use any money you have available to help those that need it most, not those that don't need it or those that are very well off, because on targeted action, that's what it does. So they need to take this money, any money that they have, and you know, they've been told that they have some money. They need to take it and give it to people to alleviate not only the problem of living when you've got very little money, but everything that goes with that, the stress on relationships, on family, the impact on children. None of us would want money sitting in the bank account, would we, if it could be used to help people. But anyway, this is the background to that ramble. Inflation is plunging record numbers of households into energy poverty, with the ESRI warning that household bills could now rise by as much as $2,000 a year and over $3,500 when the cost of filling your car is included. So I think we can presume we're going at the higher figure here because the majority of us simply have to have a car. A new report by the ESRI suggested the possibility of a Christmas bonus-style double welfare payment to offset rising energy bills, after finding that the weekly cost of household energy consumption rose by more than €21 a week in the first 4 months of this year and could rise by over €36 a week if energy prices go up by another 25%. Now, my understanding of this is, or not my understanding, but my presumption, and it's not clearly explained, is that they're not talking about waiting to Christmas to give a bonus. Presumably what they're saying is that the government has on file those that receive a double payment at Christmas, and those are, through means testing, what have you, the worst off. And what they could do is use that system now, next week, whatever it might be, to target those people with cash payments to help them cover some of these costs and to ease some of the pressure. It's within their gift. They simply just have to decide to do it. The money is there. The technology, the database is there. They just have to decide that now is the time for us to help the people. And that is, as much, they can debate it back and forwards on different radio shows, and you can listen to the opposition or the whatever it might be. But the bottom line is that they have the money, they have the database, they have the ability to do it. It's just whether they decide to spend money that's there, a few billion that's there. We're about 6 billion, I think, ahead of where they thought we would be. So there's a lot of money there that they didn't know that was there. They know who needs the money. They just have to make the decision to give it to people to help them. It's as simple as that. All the arguing and optics around that is it doesn't add or take away from the very simple decision they simply have to make if they want to. Including motor fuel, the ESRI estimates that energy inflation between January and April pushed household consumption up by over €38 a week, and a further rise of 25% would increase household consumptions by just over €67 a week. And I don't wish to labour the point, okay, but before these price increases happened, there were people, working people or not, I'm not making a distinction there, but people who, after they paid their bills and got the essentials, had nothing left. Okay, nothing left. And now they're seeing their bills increase by €67 a week. What do people do in that situation? And that is why it is on the government to do what they can to help those people. On to the Irish Times, and the families of 28 intellectually disabled victims of sexual abuse at a health service executive-run disability centre in Donegal will not be told about what happened, a new HSE report says. The abuse involving 11 perpetrators was inflicted on 42 residents of the now closed Sean O'Hare unit at St Joseph's Hospital in Stranorlar between 1991 and 2002. More residents were moved to the nearby Ardgreenia Court complex in 2008, where one of the 11 perpetrators, known as Brandon, continued to abuse. The report does not say whether any of the other 10 perpetrators were moved to Ardgreenia Court. Brandon, who was the subject of an investigation by the National Independent Review Panel completed last year, was found to have perpetrated upwards of 108 instances of abuse on at least 18 victims between 2003 and 2016, with the full knowledge of staff and management. The latest report, known as the Validation Report, was completed in May and is a review of 2 previous file reviews by 2 HSE serious incident management teams. But it's the HSE investigating again. The HSE didn't get it right the first time. Why is it not being looked at externally is an important question. And also, is it a case that really we're hearing about just as little as is possible? Why is this being drip-fed to us, this information? RTE bosses, this is the Irish Daily Mail, RTE bosses are to be brought before an Oireachtas committee to answer questions about alleged transphobic discussion on Liveline after Dublin Pride cut ties with the national broadcaster. The organisers of the Dublin Pride Festival described discussions on the RTE Radio 1 programme as unacceptable, triggering and extremely harmful. The topic of the removal of the word woman from the Maternity Act began on last Thursday's broadcast of the show, presented by Joe Duffy, and continued through to Tuesday's programme. LGBTQ plus campaigners have claimed the discussion encouraged anti-trans speech. RTE chiefs will now be grilled by TDs and senators as they'll be invited to appear before the Oireachtas Media Committee next week. A spokesperson said RTE will attend next week. We will be replying to accept the invitation tomorrow. On to the Farmers Journal now, and a new scheme to pay farmers up to €250 per hectare. In next CAP, farmers could be paid up to €250 under the revamped organic farming scheme in the next CAP. A 5-fold increase in funding for the new scheme is aimed at attracting in excess of 4,500 new farmers into organics. A proposed plan detailing the higher payment rates has been submitted to the European Commission for approval. Right, let's go to the Irish Daily Star now, and they tell us that the monkeypox virus is to be renamed over concerns it's racist, as fears of its unusual spread ramp up. The World Health Organization acted after a group of scientists from African countries wrote of the need for a non-discriminatory and non-stigmatizing name. Now, this is not unusual because obviously the Spanish flu, people started calling the COVID China flu, and they thought that's not fair, we have to give it a name, so they did. So I'm not surprised by this. They referred to the virus as the HMPXV in their paper and said calling it the African virus was also wrong. WHO guidelines state that viruses should not be named after animals or geographical areas. Okay, so now on to the Sun here, and we've had this same commentary from hoteliers in Donegal. Now we're hearing it from TDs. Hotel chiefs have been blasted by politicians for their sky-high prices. The Irish Hotels Federation execs were yesterday told crippling room costs in Dublin are destroying Irish tourism. The Oireachtas Committee on Tourism also grilled bosses from Fulch Ireland about the issue. Politicians quoted room prices of up to €790 over the summer as they claimed businesses were engaging in price gouging. Fine Gael TD Brendan Griffin warned that the prices in Dublin were out of this world. You probably stay on Mars for cheaper. And Fianna Fáil Senator Shane Castles let rip at hotels for ramping up prices any time there is a gig or big sporting fixtures. But the IHF CEO Tim Fenn claimed the average room rate in Dublin was €177 for May, an increase of 15% on the 2019 figure. He said the sky-high prices that have been headlines are due to supply issues. There are 25,000 Dublin hotel rooms with 3,500 to be added next year, but officials claim more are still needed. But did they ask them right? Okay, just because, say you've got 100 rooms and 90 of them are sold, why are the final 10 3 or 4 times the price? Did any of the TDs ask them that? What is the business model? Why don't you price rooms? Okay, so they're, as soon as they run out, they run out. Why is it a situation that because a hotel has 3 rooms and you want one of them and it's busy, that you have to pay 3 or 4 times that? Did any of the TDs ask them that? Explain that price structure, how that works. Finally, the Irish Daily Mirror tells us that the government banked an extra €2 billion in VAT takings in May on the back of soaring costs of living. Okay, so this is the money that's there that I was talking about. The Irish Mirror says that the Exchequer is making a killing while ordinary families and consumers suffer because the more price rises, the more the taxman collects in VAT. But despite the increased takings for the government, Tánaiste Leo Varadkar said again this week that there will be no more help on the cost of living until October's budget. So what they're saying, what they are saying, and this is not political or anti-government, because it is what they're saying. They're saying that we have extra money here, we know what's going on in the country, but we're not going to do anything until October. That is just pretty much what they are saying. All right, we'll be back with our first guest on the 9 till noon show after these messages.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Bus Éireann are recruiting professional bus drivers nationwide for seasonal work commencing April 2022. All you need is a full Category D licence, digital tacho and CPC. Route and fleet training will be provided. For further information and to apply online, go to buseireann.ie/jobs.
New cap scheme to pay farmers €250 per hectare. For more on this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Farmers in the new scheme will also be offered priority entry to the new REP scheme. As the €1,000 silage scheme is set to open, we reveal details on when you'll be paid. And former Taoiseach John Bruton warns Ireland could have to enforce EU border.
Plus, don't miss the Irish Farmers Journal Junior newspaper written for young farmers inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Dergfest Castle Derg, Saturday the 30th of July, featuring Sigma, KC Lights, plus support acts, all under the Big Top Tent. For ticket information, check out Dergfest Music Festival Facebook page.
This ad is kindly sponsored by McKelvey Construction, Castle Derg.
Attention all pet lovers and owners. Gary's Pet World Letterkenny is open 7 days per week, offering the very best value on all pet foods, accessories, grooming and care products. Call in and let our staff help you spoil your pet today. You will be amazed by the range of product for all pets, with exceptional value on all leading brands. Alternatively, you can browse and buy online at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home.
Michael promised he'd teach the kids to fly their blue kite the next sunny day they had.
There's a knack to it. Run as fast as you can. Let the wind catch it. Give it more string, Molly. That's it.
Always ask yourself the question,
are you sure it's safe?
When flying kites, drones or remote control planes, always look out for overhead electricity wires. Stay safe. Stay clear of electricity wires. For emergencies, call 1-800-372-999. ESB Networks, serving all electricity customers.
All right, as I said in the show yesterday, and I said it again this morning, a lot of the conversations we're having, it feels very much like 2019 all over again. I don't know the ins and outs of the MICA scheme. There's a lot more people that are far more knowledgeable about me, but looking at it and looking how it's set up, and I've said this on social media weeks ago, it looks like it's doomed to stall or doomed to fail if it goes through as it is, even with some of the minor changes. But as I say, I'm not an expert. We're going to speak to one now, Dr. Ambrose McCluskey of MA McCluskey Limited. Thanks for joining us, Ambrose. It's nice to speak to you. I believe it's the first time we've spoken, actually.
I think it is, yeah.
Right, okay. So with what we know from what was mentioned yesterday, what was agreed yesterday at Cabinet, but also what we've known is coming for the last number of weeks or months, how optimistic are you that this enhanced scheme, even with a few tweaks, will actually work?
Personally, I wouldn't be that optimistic. I personally believe that it'll take a lot more than tweaks to make the scheme workable. I think there's some fundamental things that have been missed by government from the start, and that even going back as far as the 2017 expert panel report, whereby additional research was proposed to be done, none of that has actually been done. And we're now seeing, well, first of all, from my own point of view, we were told that as engineers that this is largely a freeze-thaw issue and it's Mica and Donegal. And the first number of houses I looked at, I saw houses as far back as 2013, 2014 that were damaged well outside any frost zone. So I always thought that there was something possibly other than Mica causing the issues. And now we're seeing international experts having a look and saying that, yeah, there's other deleterious materials at present here that may be actually worse than the Mica. And then combined with Mica, then we do have the perfect storm to create sort of exponential damage in some cases. But I do believe that, you know, it's not necessary possibly to demolish every house that's got mica. There needs to be a lot more looking into this, and there needs to be a few experts who are expert in looking at this particular thing, such as Andreas Lehmann, and they need to come in here, take a look at what we've got, and give us advice as to what levels of each deleterious material we can live with, or if we can't, then we need to know that. But they seem to be intent on pushing this scheme through and ignoring a lot of the science, which is very disappointing as an engineer. You know, as an engineer, we want to give a solution that we can happily walk away from and say, that's your house fixed now, you won't have an issue. As such, your house is insurable, your house is mortgageable, and you're back to square one again. But the scheme as it stands certainly will not provide that. You know, who wants to do a fix that there's, you know, it's a finger in the wind to see, will this last or not? And then, well, I'll tell you what, if it doesn't last, you can go through the same thing again in 6 or 7 years' time.
But that's precisely as this scheme is being laid out, and that's what confuses me, and maybe you can educate me on this, because we are talking many billions of taxpayers' money, and there's a great responsibility in how that is spent. What we have a situation is where we could examine what needs to be done and the best way to spend that money. That would be the option, and I think that you're advocating. But what they've agreed with, what they're agreeing and what they seem to accept is that, no, well, what we'll do is we'll fix up almost like what we can see, the outside, and then if that's the wrong decision and there's more cracks, well, you can come back in at the grand scheme and we'll go at it again. Now, I presume doing an external leaf only and then maybe coming back and doing internals or whatever else might need to be done, or if the foundation started to show weakness, that's not a prudent way of spending money. If you're going to get anything done, you try and get everyone on site at the same time and get what needs fixing. Like, it feels like we're literally setting this up to paper over the cracks with a view to ripping off the wallpaper and replacing the wall down the line.
Yeah, well, you also, you know, people forget as well that that's not really an option. If you do the outer leaf now, you can't come back and do the inner leaf solely on its own in 5 years' time. Your outer leaf that you've done now is gone as well, because to get at the inner leaf's the one doing the carrying. It's going to be carrying your floors and your roof. So you must take down the outer leaf that you replaced 5 years ago, even if it's okay, because you cannot replace the inner leaf of a house and leave the outer leaf. So, you know, the money spent is gone, it's wiped. So it's, you know, the taxpayers are possibly complaining that, oh, this is a 2.7 billion scheme and all this, but they potentially are wasting their money. It would not take a lot of money to research on the grand scheme of things. £2 or £3 million probably given to the right experts for a year, 18 months. They could come back, I would imagine, with an answer and say, yep, if you've got X% mica and no pyrrhotite or whatever, your house is fine. It'll last for 50 years plus or whatever. Those tests have not been done. No targeted research has been done. We've had a few people, you know, there's a lot of, the term expert has been used very loosely here. There's a lot of experts, but in reality, there really is no experts that have really looked into this in any great detail. And a lot of it's sort of based on hunches and hearsay and anecdotal evidence. But we, as an engineer, I would like to see the science being looked into in detail and a proper fix being provided, and that we can all stand over and the homeowners can be happy, and also that the taxpayers can be happy that their money has been spent correctly and the fix is done.
Have you concluded what the resistance might be to this? Because even privately, the government is suggesting to its ministers that this could be, you know, upwards of 4 billion. It doesn't have to be front loaded. This is clearly over a very long period of time. With everything that you've just outlined and what, you know, most people seem to say would be the right thing to do, have you concluded why there might be a resistance to the government going along with the likes of what you're suggesting there? Why would you resist such a thing?
I honestly don't know, but there does appear to be certainly resistance from high level in terms of looking into this problem or investigating it properly. And there's one thing that I would say as well is, what's a bit disappointing is they brought in this damage threshold, which I believe will rule a large number of people from getting their houses fixed at all onto this scheme. But what there needs to be.
Can you explain that? Sorry, Ambrose, because I think that's just an important point, and some might be hearing it for the first time.
There's a damage threshold whereby your house has to reach a certain level of damage before you're even accepted onto the scheme. And from what I hear, it's going to be something like cracks of 1.5 millimetre wide throughout extensively, which hasn't been properly explained to us engineers at all yet. But when your house reaches the stage of 1.5 millimetre wide cracks extensively, it's pretty well gone.
So that means we would be deciding who gets onto this scheme effectively with a ruler.
Yeah, basically that's what seems to be the case. That's what I can read. As well, we haven't been given any details, so I don't really know. I'm only listening to what you're listening to and commenting on that. So
understood.
I haven't seen any detail of the new scheme, but that's what we've been told. But what I believe there should be is there's a number of houses out there that are certainly very badly damaged, and to me or to any engineer worth their salt looking at them can easily turn around and say that house is a goner, that house needs to be demolished, and those people living in those houses are potentially going to be unsafe shortly. Those houses need to be prioritised, and we need to be able to get a way of getting those maybe 5-10% of the houses fixed immediately and onto a scheme and get it sorted while we get the answers for the rest of the houses. There may be certainly a lot of houses that could be saved or are going to be fine. We don't know that, but what we need to do is prioritise the ones that need fixed first and get some kind of a mechanism for that.
My concern for a while has been, though, that be it department officials or whoever it might be, that it's that what this could look like. Okay, what this could look like is the delivery of a 100% multi-billion euro scheme. Okay, that is destined to stall or not work afterwards. And the government would be able to stand back, or the department officials would be able to stand back and say, look, we've delivered this multi-billion euro scheme. This is a standoff between engineers and whatever other parties might be involved. And the government can say, well, we've done everything we can. This is not our problem. We've set it up. It's passed through the Dáil. It's passed through the Shannon. It's signed into law. What else can we do? It's unimaginable, is it, that a scheme has been designed in such a way not to work?
Yeah, well, it certainly seems that way. They don't want to listen. They haven't listened right from the expert panel in 2017. They're still not listening. We're commenting as much as we can on what we feel is necessary, but there seems to be nobody at the top listening. They seem intent on ploying on a certain pathway, and there's no deviating from that. But it's very disappointing because I think there's an opportunity there to do the thing right, and it has been missed to date, and it seems to be going to be missed again. This is the second time we've been here with a scheme, and to me, it's destined for failure because, if someone comes to me and says, right, we test a block or there's blocks there, the housing agency says that house doesn't look too bad, we'll do an outer leaf on that. But what this scheme seems to involve is that the housing agency hand it to us as engineers and say, right, sort out, design that remedial and stand over it and watch that done and sign it off. But who's going to sign that off? Because it's not what we've decided the house needs, first of all, because it's decided by someone else. And secondly, it's not what we would have decided because we don't have the scientific research or
so in the absence of
saying that last.
In the absence of that scientific information that you're talking of, right? I mean, any engineer, that's a sweeping statement, but what engineer would sign off on something really not knowing where that house could be in 4 or 5 years, knowing that maybe the inner leaf is bearing much of the weight? Like, will they find a team of engineers that will sign off on this? I mean,
they possibly, you see, what they've tried to do, I think, to try and encourage engineers to do that is this second entry to the scheme. They're saying that, look, if things go bad, you get on the scheme again. Now, I don't know if that protects the engineer from the sign-off, but to me, it's a very, very bad way of engineering anything. I have never walked away from anything that I have designed and thought to myself, we'll see, it might work and it might not.
Yeah, see,
that's just not engineering.
I think a lot of what has got us into this position is a lack of oversight, a lack of enforcement, a lack of scrutiny along the way. And if that had been done, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Yet we are setting up a scheme, right, that actually is to fix houses half-arsed, pardon the expression. You know what I'm on about? So we're actually legislating to do the kind of stuff that got us into this mess in the first place.
That's it. And just on that as well, like we have, there are standards there that have clearly not been legislated and not been policed by the powers that be. And it's these powers that be that are now seem to be introducing this scheme. And there is absolutely no guarantee at present that the blocks that we are going to be putting back in these houses that are potentially going to be rebuilt, and on that I don't think a lot will be getting demolition on this new scheme, but the new blocks and the new houses, there's still the legislation has still not been policed, and the necessary tests are not being put into place to ensure that those blocks aren't exactly the same as the ones that were taken out in 10 years' time, 15 years' time. Yeah. So the government hasn't even put policies in place to police the industry as it is. So, you know, it's beyond belief to me. It's really strange that we've got to where we're at. But it's hard to believe, but it's reality.
Yeah, how can you properly scrutinise any new product if you don't properly scrutinise the old product, determine exactly why it was failing?
Exactly, yeah.
What's your views on foundations? There's mixed reviews, some controversial ones. I think the majority are that they believe they need changing. Of course, we had a guest on the programme whose name just escapes me at the moment, Adrian, I can't remember his surname. Who says in his experience he does not believe foundations are going to be a big issue here. That obviously wasn't met with a lot of approval locally here. Do you have an opinion on it?
I would have an opinion on it, yeah. I know Master O'Connell looked and said that the concrete's obviously a lot more dense, it's not as porous, and less moisture get into it, all that. But if the pyrrhotite is present, we've seen strong reinforced concrete in Connecticut being completely destroyed by pyrrhotite. So certainly it would be prudent to test the foundations. I'm not saying they all need to come out, but what I would say is if you're going to take a house and spend €420,000 and rebuild it, for the sake of a further €5,000 to €10,000, I would certainly be taking the foundations out and leaving nothing to chance. But we need to test the foundations and see what actually is present. Again, it's the research. You know, if we tested a number of foundations, tested them that they're sound, and checked the levels of all the materials that are in them, quickly we could come back and say, look, if you core your foundations and they're X strength and X levels of material, they should be fine, or they will be fine, then that's fine. Well, possibly they could be left in place. But until that is done, then the safe thing is take them out. You know, but as I say, it's the lack of research that's really frustrating, because we're being asked to stand over things that we have absolutely no idea what way they'll perform in the future.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect a consultant in a hospital to perform operations or administer treatment if they didn't know the full facts. And I hope I'm not conflating there, but I mean, we're asking experts to do stuff without all the information. And as I say, and you say in the wider scale of things, the amount of money we're talking about is small. There are national, international experts that could be gathered to do that relatively quickly. It would let us know exactly where we're at.
Yes, certainly. And that's what should be done, or should have been done. And that should have been done since 2017. We would know now where we stood. But certainly, as I say, people won't want to see a delay to the scheme, naturally, and all that. But I still think the worst houses need to be done immediately, because we need to ensure that people are safe. And those there's no question that quite a lot of those houses, you see them on social media, need to be demolished and rebuilt. So why not just get on with that?
Do a two-track system. Finally, Dr. McCluskey, finally, could it be that if we have the information through an independent analysis, that the government's afraid that this won't be, 6,000 or 7,000 houses in Donegal, 500 or 600 in Clare, or whatever it might be? Is it possible that if we have the information that you talk of, that if we started boring houses left, right and centre, that maybe even blocks were got from multiple companies, that they're trying to limit the scale of this?
It's quite possible, but on the other hand, it's possible that we look at these and say that the levels are low enough that, there's a lot of houses there with certain levels of mica that may not need demolished.
So you set a threshold?
Yeah, we set thresholds. That's what we want to do, set a threshold to see what's acceptable and what's not. Because, there may well be houses there that will last a lifetime, but we're not 100% sure because we don't know the exact combination that's causing all the damage. So once we find that out, then we can look into it in more detail. What I would say to you is that, I heard last night that there's maybe going to be a rushed PRS available, but I'm not so sure. I would love that to be the case and love what the homeowner reps and all the engineers and all say will cause the thing to be made correct. But I think looking at the scheme, it's fundamentally flawed, and it needs, rather than maybe a few tweaks, it needs strip back and start again with where we go in terms of the IS 465 and the scheme itself. I just think that it needs major review. I don't think a few tweaks that are going to be done in one day is potentially going to cause make it okay. But that's possibly just a personal view.
And very finally, are we seeing a trend away from the use of blocks within the industry? I mean,
yeah, well, there's a lot of I suppose timber framed houses going up and things like that. But you obviously have blocks on the outside leaf, although they're not load bearing.
Yeah.
But, there are people looking into all sorts of things. But it's a bad indictment on the government and this country and the industry, in that one of the simplest things that can be produced is a rectangular piece of concrete block as a building block to produce all sorts of different types of buildings and property that can't be made right. There's no reason that it can't be made right and made to last 100 plus years. It's an indictment on the government, I believe, and the industry, that we can't get that right. There's no reason why that can't be got right.
Right.
But it needs the right legislation needs to be in place, and it needs to be policed. There's no reason why blocks can't be used in the future.
All right, listen, all very interesting. Thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, that's Dr. Ambrose McCluskey there of MA McCluskey Limited. If you're living in a home affected by defective concrete blocks, it's perhaps not the most encouraging. But look, there is a pathway there to get this right. I think that's it. It's just that it requires a will. The groundwork is there, but you're hearing from experts. And there are different views on it, of course, and I understand that and I respect that, and I don't want to upset anyone. But there are different views, different takes on it. But listen, unless you get the experts together and commission them to look into all of this, how can you do it right?
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. Get ready for Rally Friday at your entertainment HQ, Pulse Venue Letterkenny, with One for the Road, the Tumblin' Paddies and Mark McCabe. Pulse Venue Letterkenny, proud sponsor of Callum Devine Motorsport.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Tickets are now on sale for Century Complex VIP meal deal, which includes a 2-course meal and backstage, admission to selected movies in Century Cinema's VIP screens, a combo with popcorn, soft drink and a free refill, all for $33.95 per person. For further information and to get your tickets, visit centurycinemas.ie.
Escape to the Algarve from the City of Derry Airport with Atlantic Travel this August. Free airport parking is available exclusively when you book with Atlantic. For your stress-free summer holiday on the Algarve, call Atlantic Travel in Letterkenny today on 9126193.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
Buncrana Music Festival, Saturday and Sunday, July 2nd and 3rd. Dan McCabe, Moncrief, Hothouse Flowers, Paddy Casey, The Fratellis, Hudson Taylor, Leah Hart and many more. Early bird tickets end this Friday. Visit buncranamusicfestival.com.
A caller says, I'm sorry, Greg, welfare again. What about two working families who worked all through the pandemic? Nothing as per, oh, you have land, farm, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sick of this country. The welfare people get more. Those worked squeezed again. So sick of it all. Sorry, maybe I didn't make myself clear, by the way. I was talking about the very poorest in this country. The government know who they are. Okay, the people with the least. But I believe I also referenced the fact that there are people who are working as well. And I said I didn't want to differentiate between the two. When we start fighting amongst each other, trust me, the governments in any country love that. So when people who are working point the finger at people with welfare, or point the finger at workers, or they point the finger at Ukrainian refugees, they love it. As long as we're in fighting, that's fantastic. No, but they also have the same information as it relates to working families who are in poverty as well, by the way. And I thought I'd made that clear, but clearly I didn't. It was in relation to the targeted welfare payment, but also, of course, there are ways, and they have the information as it relates to the majority of people, middle-income earners in inverted commas, who are in the exact same situation. And it was they who I was referencing, by the way, about the money running out once all the bills are paid. We are all in this together. I know that was an oft-used phrase during the last crisis, but if we start fighting amongst ourselves, I'm telling you, it makes things very easy for the decision makers, because then you look after one group and that's just enough to get you over the line at an election. And I think that's probably been our failing as a people, in that we divide rather than unite. Okay, now there are other problems that are ongoing that compound everything else that we're trying to deal with. One of them being, the basic right to running water on a regular basis. Elizabeth Jordan joins us on the programme now. Elizabeth, thanks for taking your time out of the morning to speak to me. I appreciate it.
Hello, Greg. How are you?
I am not bad at all. Right, okay. So tell us, you are a resident in the Rossbracken Pluck area. You're just outside Letterkenny. What's been your experience over the last while?
My experience is that every couple of weeks the water stops. There's a busted pipe. The pipe down the road needs to be replaced, and every couple of weeks the pipe busts, and then we have no water.
And then how long does it take normally for it to come back on, and how long then does it take for the water kind of to be usable, Elizabeth?
Well, you have to go over the rigmarole or ring an Irish Water, and then you have to ring the councillors, and you have to ring all these people to get a speed on it. Like, right enough, it was on yesterday again at 3 or 4 o'clock, but it's the fact that you have to ring all these people to try and get a bit of water. Like, when I got up yesterday morning, I had no water, and they knew that the pipe was going to bust because it had been leaking from the week before. It had busted it the week before, and it had been leaking in another part, and they didn't bother coming out to fix it. Like, and this goes on and on the whole time.
I know, of course, this particularly affects everyone, but I suppose people, carers or people with children trying to get them out to school or whatever, people trying to get washing done. I mean, all the obvious consequences of these frequent water bursts.
Well, I was up on the phone yesterday morning and to Irish Water and trying to say to her, my Wayne's going to school. That shouldn't be the way. They should be able to come out and fix it properly. And it's not to say that it's the first time I've rang or it's the second time even. This has gone on and on the last couple of years. Like Christmas Day, we had no water.
Wow. Do we know how big a job it would be to replace this pipe?
It's not that big a job. It just needs a new pipe. It's not that big a job, like.
So there doesn't seem any reason as to why they're not doing it then, from your perspective,
no. And
Elizabeth.
if you ring them, Greg, and you say, have you got a call? They'll say, no, you're the first person who have called about it, which that is a total lie because my neighbours is all rang, like.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Listen, we're going to make contact with Irish Water as well. I believe some local councillors are making representations, and we'll see what Irish Water have to say about it officially by way of a press statement. We'll chase that up, Elizabeth.
Thanks very much.
All right,
Greg.
no problem.
Right.
Have a good day. Take care of yourself. 08660 25,000. The caller says, what about the people who are working and struggling to put petrol in their car to get to work, thus is on top of everything else. Nothing left. It doesn't seem worth going to work anymore. Indeed, and of course that is these are the people that we're talking about. Greg, when they say give the money to the most in poverty, they need to stop child allowance for the rich. Also, the €200 off the wealthy ESB bill was wasting money that should have been given to the needy, but there is a need to abolish child allowance for the wealthy. Means tested. Children's allowance is not for mum and dad, though. I think it's a right for every child. That's complicated, but I agree with you. Like the recent reduction in excise on fuel was not insignificant to the exchequer. But if you have the bigger your car, the more miles you travel, the more you benefited from that. It didn't really. It helped someone driving and no harm to you if you have a lovely big cruiser, but if you can drive around the place, towing something or other, whatever it might be, you save more money with the excise cut in fuel. Whereas wouldn't it be better targeting those types of measures at those that actually can't go to work because they can't afford to put in the minimum units at the petrol pumps? And I think a lot of people would agree there. The ESB bill as well, giving everyone €200 off their bill. A lot of people still haven't got that yet either, by the way, or didn't get it all once the VAT was taken off. That is not targeted. That's probably, some would say, not a useful use of the money. We want the money to go to... That's why we all donate to charities so much. That's why we all help each other so much, is because we see that, right, some people are in a position where they've got a little bit of extra money and they want to give that to the likes of St. Vincent de Paul to help people that perhaps don't have as much money. So I think there would be a will amongst the people to do, more targeted approaches to this kind of stuff. Right, okay. I have to take one more quick break and then we're going to go to Tory Island. Stay where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring biggest ever sale. €10 million worth of stock in store and ready to take home. All tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything slashed in price. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Ireland's biggest range, best prices, and in store to take home today. Sale extended until Sunday.
Happy Father's Day.
This Father's Day, choose Dolce & Gabbana, Gucci, Cool Water, Diesel, 1 million, Jean-Paul Gaultier. Choose McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. Great gifts for great dads. Click mcgees.ie.
Inishowen Credit Union has recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndona, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Foy & Company are offering amazing discounts on a great selection of display sofas, with up to 50% off a range of 2-seater, 3-seater and corner sofas in a choice of colours and styles. If you're getting a new suite of furniture, don't miss the big display sofa clearance sale on now while stocks last at Foy & Company in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet, and online at foys.ie.
For great food in the heart of Letterkenny's Cathedral Quarter, step into Dillon's Hotel. Using only the best local produce, Dillon's serve an extensive menu every day from 12. Perfect for a quick bite, a relaxed lunch or a leisurely dinner. Try the renowned 4-course Sunday lunch with full table service. Or if you work in town, why not pre-order and have your lunch waiting? Great food and service, 7 days a week at Dillon's Hotel Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Visit dillons-hotel.ie.
Find the perfect gift for Dad with trending summer style at Dunnes Stores. Treat him to a classic shirt for just €10, or spoil him with new knitwear from just €20. Pick out a polo and shorts combo he'll love, or a sophisticated shirt in 100% linen from our exclusive designer Paul Costello. Whether he needs a wardrobe update or something new for his next night out, you'll find a gift for Dad at Dunnes Stores. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. Delighted to say good morning to William Dooher. Hi, William.
How you doing?
Just to give some people the background to this story. Now, the council has confirmed that it's got no responsibility for the completion of Tory seawall. The seawall on the island was started a number of years ago, but was never finished due to a lack of funding. And at a recent Glenties Municipal District meeting, it was stated the council has liaised with the department regarding the completion of the project. Okay, so, I mean, obviously it might seem obvious to you, William, but what is the function of this seawall, and how far on to completion is it?
Well, in 2008, there was money allocated for the first phase of it, was to extend the capping on the seawall, which was carried out in 2009. And they were supposed to then do phase 2 in 2010, is to extend the capping, which acts as a handrail and a wave breaker.
Mm-hmm.
And that was never carried out. And phase 3 was to extend the seawall itself towards the point at the front of the island here by 35 metres, which was never done. And due to the storms last year, behind the seawall where it finishes is starting to erode. So something needs to be done with it to prevent any more damage.
Yeah, so really this is similar to what we've witnessed in Greencastle. If money is not spent now, the money that's already spent is going to be effectively washed out to sea.
It will be washed out to sea. There's no point crying over spilled milk when the damage is done. Now is the time to act and get the project finished.
What do you think of the council saying that it's not their responsibility to finish it? I presume they have a role to play, though, in trying to get funds together or put pressure on the department to spend the money.
They have a role to play because they started the project in 2009. And we were promised at the time as residents here that it'd be done in 3 phases. And it was never carried out.
Yeah, of course, because, you know, the recession's in the timeline here as well, of course. What would be the benefits if this was finished to completion?
It would save about 9-10 houses on the seafront there.
Yeah.
There's tourists that use the walkway, which you can see in the pictures in front of you. There's a 10-foot drop off the seawall there, and it's a bit of gust of wind or anything comes to it, could end up down in the shoreline there. But there's bike tours that goes around the island. They use the walkway, and plus there's kids here that play around the area, and they use it. So it's beneficial for a lot of people to get this project finished.
In the meantime, have locals on the island been doing a bit of work themselves?
We actually done a bit of work for it. We extended the kind of the road to make it a wee bit safer for tourists to use. And we done a bit of just resurfacing the area so that it's safe to walk on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the council needs to step in, and whoever's involved needs to step in and finish the project.
Does this fall under Charlie McConaughey's marine portfolio? I wonder. Obviously, he's been celebrating, announcing quite a bit of funding for piers. I would imagine a breakwater falls under his office. Have you had any word from him or any interaction with him?
The only person I had word back was Michael McCafferty yesterday, and he told me the council wasn't taking any responsibility of it. But at the moment, anyway, I had a meeting with Marjorie there yesterday, and the Cork coming. We're actually going to issue a few letters and stuff on to get the ball moving on the issue. Send
them in to us. Keep us updated, William.
We will indeed.
All right, thanks very much indeed. That's a resident of Tory Island, William Dooher there. Stay with us. A cracking 2 hours on the way, but we're going to take a break now for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Get ready for Rally Weekend at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, Donegal's premier entertainment venue, where tomorrow night playing live at Sailor Bill. Exquisite luxury and incredible entertainment at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny. Proud associate sponsor of the Donegal International Rally.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 074 953 2575.
Treat your garden to a makeover at GMG Stone Letterkenny. We offer great value on decorative stone, garden paving, slabs and artificial grass, all tailored to your needs with home delivery available. We also supply railway sleepers, whiskey barrels and place sand, all available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday from 9:30am to 6pm. You will find us beside Donaghy Motorhomes on the Port Road. For an appointment, call 087 647 9121. GMG Stone, just what your garden needs.
The Euro Millions Mega Draw is back, and it's really big. It's actually massive. This Friday, June 17th, the Euro Millions jackpot will be a guaranteed €130 million. It's just too big to miss. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Find the perfect gift for Dad with trending summer style at Dunnes Stores. Treat him to a classic shirt for just €10, or spoil him with new knitwear from just €20. Pick out a polo and shorts combo he'll love, or a sophisticated shirt in 100% linen from our exclusive designer Paul Costello. Whether he needs a wardrobe update or something new for his next night out, you'll find a gift for Dad at Dunnes Stores. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Signs.ie, creating signs that create business. From stationery to shop fronts, logo design to number plates and tinting. Let our in-house design team create the best solution to your branding needs. The specialist in vehicle graphics and motorsport livery. Signs.ie. Quality you can see.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. An engineer has again raised concerns with the defective concrete block scheme, saying he doesn't believe the enhanced scheme agreed this week will adequately address the problem. Dr. Ambrose McCloskey says there is still not enough information about the exact nature of block degradation. He says previous recommendations that there be more research have not been followed through. On today's 9 to noon show, he told Greg Hughes there is evidence of other deleterious materials in blocks, some of which are worse than mica. But he says it seems this is not being addressed by government.
They seem to be intent on pushing this scheme through and ignoring a lot of the science, which is very disappointing as an engineer. We want to give a solution that we can happily walk away from and say, that's your house fixed now, your house is insurable, your house is mortgageable, and you're back to square one again. The scheme as it stands will not provide that. Who wants to do a fix that's a finger in the wind to see will this last or not? And then if it doesn't last, you can go through the same thing again in 6 or 7 years.
A government minister says Cabinet could consider some targeted measures to bring down fuel costs. It comes as new ESRI research shows almost 3 in every 10 households are living in energy poverty. That figure is set to rise to 4 in 10 if energy costs continue to rise into another quarter. The ESRI says targeted measures are what's necessary and questions whether non-targeted measures are effective. Junior Agriculture Minister Pippa Hackett says, however, that measures such as cuts to VAT do have a role to play.
I think it's unfair to say that they're ineffective. I think they support people in different ways. They might in fact bring about different behavioural changes in people, which is in the longer term is an important thing. But I would agree that certainly targeted measures will have to be looked at.
Letterkenny Milford Municipal District has been told that keeping the town open will be a major priority over the course of Rally Weekend. Councillor Jerry McMonigal, chair of the Joint Policing Committee, says very productive discussions have taken place between the Council, Gardaí, Letterkenny Chamber and the rally organisers. He says all bodies are working together to ensure that disruption is minimised over the next 4 days. Donegal County Council is being asked to consider allocating its vacant houses through a choice-based letting model, which would involve advertising vacant properties and inviting people to register an interest. The change was suggested by Councillor Michael McBride, who said it could speed up the letting process. Officials told him that while choice-based letting will be used for properties which have had a number of refusals, an extension of the model isn't envisaged in the short term, although the situation is being kept under review. Well, Councillor McBride believes a change would streamline the system.
If we look at the turnaround on county council houses, some of them could take up to a year to get them relet again. I think that's totally unacceptable, particularly in the current housing climate. 3 to 4 months is, in my opinion, more than ample time for the turnover any house. I know if it was in the private sector, they'll be turned over in a couple of months, and I think it's wrong that we have council houses lying empty, taking that long to turn over, and I think we have to change that.
The PSNI is urging young people who have been sexually abused to come forward. It comes after a Derry-based man in his 20s was sentenced last week for sexually abusing children. With more detail, here's Emma Ryan.
A week ago today, on Thursday, June 9th, a 26-year-old man from the Derry area was sentenced to 10 years at Coleraine Crown Court. Joshua Alford was sentenced for a number of serious sexual offences against children. He will be placed on the sex offenders register for an indefinite period and will be subject to a sexual offences prevention order for 10 years. In a statement, Detective Sergeant Emerson says the offences committed by Joshua Alford are sickening and no child should ever have to suffer and have their innocence taken away from them in this horrific way. He stressed the PSNI remains committed to investigating all reports of sexual offences against children and young people, and urged anyone who has experienced any form of sexual abuse to contact police.
And parts of the country are set to see a mini heatwave before the weekend, but it will largely bypass Donegal. Temperatures set to reach 22 degrees in parts of the country this afternoon, rising to almost 25 degrees tomorrow. However, the best of that weather will be in the southeast. Temperatures will, we're told, struggle to hit 20 the further north and northwest that you go. And looking at the weather forecast from Met Éireann, and Met Éireann tell us that indeed it will be cloudy with patchy rain at times this morning, brightening up somewhat in the afternoon, but top temperatures will range between 15 and 19 degrees Celsius. Light to moderate southerly winds. Tonight, cloudy with rain becoming heavier and more prolonged toward morning. Lowest overnight temperatures 12 to 14, mostly moderate southerly breezes. Tomorrow morning and early afternoon we'll see rain, but that will clear to give some sunny spells. Highest temperatures on Friday 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. Moderate southwest winds veering westerly as the rain clears. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock.
Obituary notices for Thursday morning, June 16th. The death has taken place of Ruth Elizabeth Roberta Young, née McGowan. Service of Thanksgiving in her late home, 27 Curry Free Road, Waterside, tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. followed by burial in St Michael's Burial Ground, Dunnamana. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired to WH and SCT Altnagalvin Hospital ICU, care of Mrs Ruth Hay, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Maureen Gill, née McElhaney, 29 Ardraven Road, Buncrana. Remains are reposing at her residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:20, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 9 p.m. The death has taken place of Seamus Boyle, Erity, Manor, Cunningham. Seamus's remains are reposing at his late residence and will remain at his home while Requiem Mass is being offered at All Saints Church, Newton, Cunningham, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Funeral cortege leaving his home at 11:30 a.m, travelling via Erity Bray and down the Nows, going to Lakeland Crematorium, Cavan, for private cremation. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to the Motor Neuron Disease Association, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Teresa Macaulay, Kesh Ends, Newton, Cunningham, formerly of Brocka, St Johnson. Teresa is reposing at her late residence in Newton, Cunningham. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 p.m, going to All Saints Church, Newton, Cunningham, for 1 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on newtoncalais.parish.com. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, Letterkenny, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 12 noon. The death has occurred of Thomas Cannon, Teelan Street, Ballymote, County Sligo, formerly of Killybegs, County Donegal. Removal from Thomas's residence in Ballymote today to the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Ballymote to arrive for Mass of the Resurrection at 12 noon. Burial afterwards at St Columba's Cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu, if so desired, to the Irish Heart Foundation. Funeral Mass will be streamed live on the Ballymote Parish website. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With inflation rising, we're all feeling the squeeze. But An Post Money can help you take the power back. Start today with our free Money Manager tool for current account holders, helping you track your income and spending, set and stick to budgets, and much more. Ready to take the power back? Visit onpost.com/money manager. An Post is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
Okay, welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till noon show, and good morning to you, and you're welcome to the programme if you're just tuning in. This caller says, our original house was built many years before mica, but we had a huge extension built on a few years ago that might well be all mica. I wonder if the scheme will help us in this situation. Well, I don't want to mislead you in any way, shape or form. My understanding is it might not, but as I say, let's just wait to see what they finally agree on. And then we'll know. I imagine it's an incredibly stressful situation for you as a family as well. Hi, could you inquire why hospitals and surgeries ring you on a private number? And if it's missed, you've no way of ringing them back. Thank you. I think you probably answered your own question in the answer, is they don't want you to have the number for you to ring them back, I would suggest. I would imagine that's the reason why. And it means they can use multiple lines that may not be always manned all the time to be answered. But anyway, I would say that's precisely why they ring you on a private number. But it would just be, I think it would be better if there was a system, because of course with all the scams going on now, and withheld and unknown numbers are kind of a feature of the scam calls we get, that maybe if there was some sort of a system through the regulator whereby hospitals or GP surgeries, it would just say GP. You know, if they want to withhold the number, that's fine, but even have a system whereby they're ID'd as GP or ID'd as hospital, it might be helpful. Let me see, where am I going here? My daughter and her boyfriend were going to get the bus to get to the airport. They did not book their tickets online. There was then what looked like an empty bus, 5 passengers and 2 free seats. I felt so sorry for the poor bus driver. This was only going to get worse the rest of the journey, and they were clearly so upset. So can you please put a call out to people? They are better to pre-book their tickets. Now, the scenario there is not really clear to me. But anyway, book your tickets in advance is what that caller is saying. Just to remind you, our jackpot for the NCBI Radio Bingo today is €7,800. In playing Radio Bingo, you support the National Council for the Blind of Ireland. And not just nationally, the money that you raise here for them locally is spent locally. I think it was last year or the year before, it was over 100 grand that you raised, and that was all spent locally through the work of the National Council for the Blind of Ireland. It's €5 per book, by the way, if you've never played before. It's €1 a day to play for fun though. But you could win €1,600, a daily cash prize sold in Carndonna solos. €600 winning books were sold in Alexander Stranola and Blaney's in Kerrykeele. 500 went on a book bought in McElhenny's in Manor, and SuperValue in Ballabufay. They sold a book that the purchaser won €500. That's just the daily cash prize. It starts at 400. That's the minimum. It goes up 200 every day until such time as it's won. But the jackpot in play today, plus the daily cash prize, is €7,800. The very best of luck to you if you're playing.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday the 16th of June. Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €7,800 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S19. It's game number 24. The jackpot number is 7. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 33, 61, 54, 9, 82, 48, 57, 13, 62, and finally 6. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
One Stop Motor Shop, leading retailer for car parts, accessories, tools and garage equipment. Shop online at onestopmotorshop.ie. Open rally weekend, Saturday and Sunday. One Stop Motor Shop, the car parts specialists, Letterkenny and Sligo.
New summer footwear at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure. New Balance, Asics, Brooks and Hoka. Brooks Adrenaline 22 in new colours just arrived. Hoka Clifton 8, new summer colours. Or try Bondi 7 for some extra cushioning. Bounce your way through the summer with the best brands and best fit for your feet. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Come on down to the annual Finn Valley Show on Russell Brothers Farm, Killygordon, this Saturday 18th of June, with the usual dog, home industries, poultry, sheep, cattle, horse and pony classes, and fast and furious donkey derby, with trade stands, show and shine tractor competition, live music from David James, and children's entertainment. It's sure to be a family fun day at the Finn Valley Show. This ad is sponsored by Kilpatrick Brothers Contracting for all your agri needs: mowing, raking, baling, GPS sowing, slurry or manure spreading. Call Ray or Davey on 087 212 1760.
The Saturday Stretch Week 7 is here. Every Saturday throughout June, visit Oakfield Park, Rafo, from 11 until late. This week, there's live music from La Pompe after 6, with later running trains, food specials in Buffer's Restaurant, craft beers and wines, and live music from different acts each week. It's the perfect family day out. Normal gate fees apply, no booking required. Season pass and gold pass holders enter free. That's the Saturday Stretch at Oakfield Park.
Looking for the ultimate makeover for your home? Revive a special room, conservatory or sunroom? Look no further. Hardwood Plantation Shutters is your answer. A stunningly beautiful piece of furniture that will totally enhance the look and bring ambience to any area of your home. Luxurious and classically modern, and manufactured here in the Northwest. Any size, shape or colour. Call or check out our website, Plantation Shutters Ireland. Also on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, we welcome onto the programme now Jerry McLaughlin. Jerry, thanks for taking the call today.
No problem.
I was just reading through what you've been through, and I'm so sorry that, you know, when you needed people to be there to look after you, that they, or to guide you or whatever, that you were failed by them. It's an awful situation, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through it.
Yep.
You're now living in Mayville for over 20 years, and you're among a group of men, sex abuse survivors, who are going to be meeting Pope Francis. What happened to you, Jerry?
Well, there was a couple of things. There's 8 of us in the group altogether. We met Pope Francis on Monday.
Last Monday. Sorry, my mistake. Sorry.
And what happened to me? I was 11 years of age. I'd left my home in Scotland. I thought I'd have a vacation to become a priest. I left my home in Scotland, all my friends and family behind, to go to a seminary in Mirfield. And I was only there for about 2 or 3 months when the priest that was responsible for looking after the junior boys, he told me that I needed to, I can't remember, some medical condition or something I had. I can't remember what it is now. But he said the cure for it, he'd spoken to a doctor, and the cure for it was for me to take a cold shower every morning. Well, this was in November time, which was in Yorkshire. It was pretty cold. But what he would do was he would come down. Well, see, there's other showers that the rest of the boys can take on the same floor as a dormitory, but this one was 2 floors down, right down in the basement, and I was to take my cold showers there. But he would come in, pull the curtains, and watch me with it ring in his hands, and he would offer to he would offer to sponge me down and soak me down, which I turned down. I think probably Alfred Hitchcock would appreciate a scene like that in the shower, naked in the shower. But I didn't give in to him. But I kept on going. After about 2 or 3 weeks, he stopped coming. But I kept going for about 7 weeks. I was a bit afraid really to stop, as he told me to do it. So the next time it happened, when I was in second year, when I was 12 years of age, I got an injury in the football field. It was a groin strain, and I asked him if I could, leave the match. It was just a practice match, and he said yes, and to go up to the dormitory and go into bed there. So I did that, and I was very surprised because he was the referee of the match. About a couple of minutes later, he arrived. He must have told them just to get on with it themselves. And he kept asking if he could have a look and examine it, and I kept saying no. But he just kept on doing it, and I kept saying no. But at one point he was saying, "Look, don't you want to get better again? I could help to get it better." And I was thinking, well, I don't really like this. Maybe should I let him have a look anyway? When he suddenly said, "His father Valmagia weighed you," and I thought, what's that about? What does it matter whether he's weighed me or not? But it seems Father Valmaggio was the other paedophile priest there, along with Father Pinkman. And it shows that they must have known about each other, because he said, okay, if he hasn't weighed you, I'll get you booked into the infirmary. Mm-hmm. So I went, and he took me along. The infirmary, it was just where the boys went when they were sick, something wrong with them. I mean, if obviously something serious, they would go to the hospital. But Father Valmaggio, he wasn't qualified in any way. He wasn't a doctor or a nurse, whatever. But he was in charge of the infirmary. And it seems what he used to do, so I discovered later, was that he had this book and he'd have all the boys' names in it, and he would tell them that he has to weigh them every so often, and they would have to take off their clothes, obviously, to be weighed properly. And he was abusing. There was another guy in the infirmary when I was there, a guy called Anthony Summers, but on the first day, Father Valmaggio came in and said to Anthony Summers that he needed to get out. He was cured, and he said, "No," he says, "I don't feel any better." And he shouted at him, "Get out, get out!" Mm. So he got out, and then he locked the door. I was wondering why he was locking the door, and then he told me to take down my trousers, and it seems the cure for groin strain was coal tar, which he rubbed on my penis and testicles. I thought that was a bit odd. I thought, how could that fix it? But I was there 7 or 8 days in which he would do that twice a day, and he kept saying to me, make it go up. I was very lucky because I was 12 and I was only about a few weeks away. I think this was in June '65, and in July '65 I hit puberty, so I was very lucky then. But
yeah. And how long did this? Sorry, you were going to say others weren't so lucky. How long did this go on for, Jerry?
Oh, this went on for years,
and just you. I mean, obviously, I presume your family were very proud of you, that you were taking an interest, in the spiritual life and what have you. Like, were you able to speak to anyone to sort of figure out what was going on here? Did the other students talk amongst themselves? Were you able to reach out, or did you trust any family members? So was it, in other words, you weren't to bring shame on yourself or embarrassment on yourself? Like, what was it like dealing with that emotionally?
Well, I never told anybody about it at all. My brother went to the same place about 3 years later, and later on we spoke about it, but we never spoke to anybody else in the family or anybody else about it. In fact, my best friend there was a guy called Frank McGuinness. Now, Frank McGuinness was being abused at the same time as me, but the first we told each other about it was at a reunion about 40 years later.
My word.
But Frank was he spent the whole of the 3 years he was there trying to avoid Father Pinkman. Mm. Because what Father Pinkman would do, he would come into the area where the boys are, the recreation area, and he would
we'll try not to be too graphic, Jerry, if that's okay. And that's not to diminish what you all went through. It's just with it being a sort of an early morning thing, Jerry. But I hope you understand why I say that.
Oh no, I understand. But all I was going to say was he would click his finger, and that meant that Frank, and that meant Frank had to go up to his room and wait for him to be abused there.
Unbelievable stuff. This is going back to 1964.
65, yeah.
65, I beg your pardon. At what stage did you leave this training school, or what happened to you then through your teenage years and into adult life?
I was actually there was three of us. It was Easter '67 when there was three of us told to go and stand outside Father Rector's door. I wondered why. But the first guy that came, he came out and he said, "I've been expelled." And then the second guy went in and he came out and he says, "I've been expelled." So I thought, oh my God, because this had really could have taken over as my family now. The guys, they were my brothers. Some of the priests were, our fathers, etc. So I went in. I was suspended for a year. I wasn't kicked out. I was suspended for a year, but after a year, I decided I wouldn't. I'd seen the.
What do you think the motivation was? That was it to get obviously the perpetrator wasn't going to be removed. Was it to? Why do you think you three were expelled? What was their motivation for doing that?
I think there was Father Pinkman, he was one of the ones involved that abused me. He actually told me he came into the dormitory when I was there by myself, and he was kind of like a lover scorned or something. He says, "I've marked the new Father Rector's card about you," because this Father Rector had only been there 3 months. So I marked him about you, and he's surprised they're letting someone like you stay here. So I was a bit frightened by that. I thought he's only bluffing, he's only kidding me. But obviously he had done that, so he told them supposed things that I'd done, and so therefore the new Father Rector decided to. Well, as I say, he kicked the other two out, but he just suspended me. But I decided not to go back after that.
And I mean, obviously you're having to deal with this through the years I mentioned. At what point did you sort of say, right, a very serious wrong was done to me, a crime was committed against me, very, very seriously, to sort of try and pursue some justice for that, Jerry? At what stage of your life did you begin that or feel ready to begin that process?
Well, I think probably in my 50s,
wow.
Because there was a school reunion. Well, there had been a couple before I went to one, but there was a school reunion that I went to, and then the boys, well, they were men obviously then, they started talking about it, and then other people came to the reunion, and then one of the guys decided that he was actually pursuing them for 27 years for an acknowledgement and apology of the Cambodian missionaries, but they wouldn't do it. So he had got himself a lawyer and was pursuing them there. So I thought to myself, there was other ones that were in the group. The reason we got together is because he wanted a statement from each of us saying that we had been abused to help his case. So we did that. And we thought, well, why don't we do that as well?
And just in speaking amongst each other, was it clear the kind of, and everyone would be different, clear the kind of impact this abuse had on you throughout your lives up to the age of, I presume most of you were in your 50s at that point. Now, how other than what you would deal with internally, how had it affected your lives?
Well, I mean, I won't sort of go into individual
of
people,
course, yeah.
But there's a pattern of alcoholism and breakups of marriages. Some of them go back, like Frank McGuinness, my best friend, his marriage broke up. 17 years later, I think him and his wife became good friends again. But there was an anger as well amongst them, just an anger at things about society and how life had treated them. Yeah. So it was anger, and that was alcohol helped with that, but that didn't help with their marriages, which so many of them broke down.
And as you say, the Cambodian missionaries, they denied it ever happened or frustrated the process of trying to get to the truth for the one gentleman that was pursuing them?
Yeah, well, what they always say is that we'll never know what happened all those years ago, and some of the priests are not with us anymore. But it's put it this way, we know they've got records because through our lawyers we demanded to see any sort of records they had about us. So I had my records from my first and second year. I was able to read that Father Pinkman had said about me that he couldn't get through to me at all. I was like a block of wood.
What did that feel like reading that? And obviously knowing that it was written so long ago from the hands of your abuser as well. As a middle-aged person at this point, if you don't mind me saying so, I think I'd class myself in that category as well. Like, what was that like emotionally? Like, it was because whatever way you've been dealing throughout the years, it must have been like. Did it feel like stepping actually back into that time again?
Well, it was kind of a bit shocked because I did well in school, and I think I had when I came here from I lived in Greenock in Scotland, St Mary's School there, and I got the prize for ducks, which is the person who's top of the top class. So I kind of expected that they thought this is a reasonable catch there, but all he said was that I was like, he couldn't get through to me at all. I was like a block of wood. So.
Insult to injury, perhaps. So when they finally did, the Comboni missionaries, they finally settled, I suppose you could call it. Did they admit what went on? I mean, they paid compensation to 11 of the abuse survivors in 2014, but they still, even at that point, weren't saying, we're doing this because such and such happened. And is that still their stance? This effectively, according to the Comboni order, did this abuse of you and your fellow classmates, did it ever happen as far as they're concerned?
Well, they know what happened because the guy that was in charge of the Combonis while we were trying to pursue them, he was in the class. He was the class in our classes at school, and everybody else, at some stage in their lives, must have sort of suspected what happens. But basically, they were talking through their lawyers and their insurance company, and they were advising them what to say. And the advice was, don't admit anything. When we told the Pope that on Monday, he says yes. They think they could go away by buying their way out. He says that he was going to set up a meeting between us and them, and he says there'll be no lawyers.
Wow.
But the Pope was very much on our side.
Let's talk about that meeting because just for the listeners' perspective, this is what the Comboni order felt was the value of what you went through. €9,370, almost an insult, really, and at the same time not acknowledging formally that it happened. Before we talk about your meeting...
Can I just
yes, please.
One thing there, and that they say it didn't happen, but one of the reasons why we settled was because our lawyers said there's a statute of limitations. You're too late. And also they were doing it. They were going to take 33% of whatever we got. But they said from here on you have to pay for it yourself, and we just didn't have the funds to do that.
Right. Okay. So how did it come to pass that a meeting was arranged with the Pope? Is this something that you individually wanted, Jerry, or were you approached by someone saying it might be? Like, how was this meeting framed, and how did it come to happen?
Well, there's a group of 8 of us, including the guy who's been trying for 27 years to get them to admit it. We knocked on lots of different doors. We just kept going and didn't give in. And finally, we talked to a guy called Charles Scicluna, who's the Archbishop of Malta, but he's also the Pope's, appointed by the Pope to investigate clerical sex abuse among children. And the first time we contacted him, maybe he wasn't strong enough. He put it forward, but then he did, and he spoke to us, and we asked him, could you tell the Pope, because you can get through to him, could you tell the Pope what's happened to us? He says, okay. He says, write it all out, what happened to each of you, 8 of you, or 9 of us there was at the time. And then he looked at it, he says, it's too long, cut it to 2 pages each. So we cut it to 2 pages each. We gave it back to him. He had it translated into Spanish, and then he gave it to the Pope. And the Pope read it, and he said to Charles Scicluna, he says, go to London and speak to them. And so that's what happened. He came back and reported what we said to the Pope, and the Pope said that he wanted to see us in the Vatican. And that's how it came about.
This is very unique, by the way. You are perhaps the first group of individuals that have had an audience with the Pope in this location under these circumstances.
Exactly. That's what one of the priests there at the Vatican told us. We were the first ones ever. He's seen other ones before, other survivor groups. Like when he came to Ireland, he met some in various places. But this is the first time that any group has been invited to the Vatican. And part of that is because the Pope, he'd already read what happened to us, but he wanted to talk to us, and he wanted to hear what we thought and get our advice on it, and so we gave it to him.
Right, now, you met individually. I think you were the 6th to meet the Pope. How long did you have with him, by the way, before we talk about the conversation?
We were supposed to have an hour, from 9 o'clock to 10, but the one in front of us was a bit delayed. So we went in about between 9:20 and 9:30, and we didn't get out till after 11 o'clock.
Wow.
So
Now,
we had well over an hour and a half with them.
If it's not a personal question, prior to the meeting, and not prior to the meeting, but post what you went through, did you turn your back on religion? Were you angry at it, or what was your sort of status? If that's not personal, if it is, just ignore the question, Jerry, and we'll move on.
Well, that is fine. I gave up on religion about it was around about the same time as I left the college, but I don't think it was to do with that. I just didn't believe in it anymore, even while I was still there.
Right. So,
but there are other ones amongst us. Like there was one guy, one of our guys, Chris. He actually didn't speak, but he wrote it all down in a letter because he says he wouldn't be able to do it. Now Chris is homosexual, and he wrote down in the letter that he'd been told by many priests and people in the Catholic Church that he wasn't able to take communion anymore, and they said he was psychologically disturbed for being homosexual, etc. And so because he wasn't allowed to take communion, he stopped. He thought, I'm not going to Mass as a second-class citizen. So he gave up going to Mass 26 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the letter to the Pope. The Pope didn't say anything. But while we were leaving, we all got he shook hands. He went to the door. He shook hands with each of us. We had a picture taken with him. And he beckoned to Chris because he was a wheelchair, to come a bit closer. And Chris went closer and he said to him, take communion. And when I went outside, I saw Chris. He was totally in tears, breakdown. That the head of the church, of which he had been a second-class citizen and stopped going to Mass, had told him that he was free to go to communion. Which I'm sure you've got homosexual listeners out there who will be glad to hear that they are welcome in the Catholic Church again.
God, that must have meant an awful lot to Chris,
it did, yeah.
Because you can just imagine for 26 years. Okay, right. So, talk to me about how it felt walking into the room. The conversation with the Pope. What do you believe he wished to get from his conversation with you, Jerry?
I think he was looking to. I mean, he knew what had happened to us before, but so we told him a little bit. But it was mainly advice. Like one of the pieces of advice that I gave him was that. What they used to do, the Comboni missionaries, was if a priest had been found out as being a paedophile priest, he'd been abusing the boys, what they tended to do was send them to the missions in Africa. Like Father Pinkman, the one who abused me and Frank and a lot of others, he was sent to Africa, to Uganda, and while he was there, he became the head of the Scout movement for northern Uganda. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I said to the Holy Father, as we call them, I said that when African countries, when they realise that European religious orders are dumping their paedophile priests on them, all hell's going to break loose. There's going to be an explosion.
What did he say to that?
Well, what?
What did he say to that?
Well, he was nodding. I said that this could have a major effect on the Catholic Church in Africa. And he was looking at me and he was nodding his head as well. He sort of pointed his finger, like, I've taken this point.
In terms of, did he ask you to forgive the church?
No, he didn't. The only forgiveness, he apologised to us, and he said he begged our forgiveness.
Did you give him your forgiveness?
Well, we didn't really answer that because he was talking at the time. So we just, I mean, it was very much appreciated. I mean, it wasn't him that did it, but obviously he feels as the buck stops here. He's head of the church.
Yes.
That caused it to happen to, and in terms of advice, as I said, he took my points about the Africans.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and in terms of seeking to, did you mention broking a meeting with the Comboni order, or
yes.
What did he commit to in that regard?
Oh yes. That was one of the takeaway points. He said that not only should he apologise, but he needs to do something for us. He says this very day, I'm going to contact the Combonis who are in Rome, and he told them, he says, I'm going to tell them that they need to meet you. Yeah. And he says, I'm also going to tell them that they should never send their paedophile priests to Africa again, and he says he was going to tell the rest of the orders that. So it was great.
And in terms of
going to act on something that I advised him on,
and you got a sense from the Pope that he genuinely, he finds the sexual abuse of children abhorrent. How the church still dealt with it. Those that were responsible for it. It was very clear to him in strong terms that this is just completely and utterly unacceptable.
Well, he says it was monstrous. He says abusing children like that and covering it goes beyond sin. He says it's monstrous. He says it puts him in mind of the olden days when they used to make sacrifices of children to the gods. It's just completely monstrous. I mean, totally. He did say a couple of years ago, I read that he said that when he was speaking to someone else, he says those that cover up the abuse of children, which the Cambonis have done, he says they're caca, which I don't think needs translating into English.
No, he's used that phrase before as well. So, again, is it a personal question? I mean, you met, the head of the church, the representative of God on earth, depending on your belief system. Did you get the sense that you were in the presence of something in particular? Has it had any impact on you in a religious sense?
Not in a religious sense, because I'm a non-believer anyway. But in terms of the Catholic Church, I mean, we all did feel. We spoke afterwards. All of us felt that the Pope was extremely serious about this. And see, I think people think that the Catholic Church is a very hierarchical organisation. Well, it is in terms of dogma, then the rules, etc. But what I didn't know when we first started this was anybody can start a religious order. I could, you could, and you don't need the permission of the Pope. And they don't report into anybody. They only report into their own superior general. The Pope can't actually tell them to meet us. He could just call them up and say, look, I want you to meet them. They could turn them down if they wanted.
Okay, listen, Jerry, thanks for so much of your time. We'll see, and hopefully we can follow up with you to see if those commitments are followed through on.
Yes.
And again, thanks so much for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks very much for having me on.
Okay, take care. No, it's our pleasure. Okay, that was Jerry McLaughlin there, and living in Mayville for the last 2 decades. What you heard his story there, a shocking one, and he met with the Pope on Monday. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. Now, of course, the big event taking place in Donegal this weekend. It's going to be huge. Yes, the Sea Sessions Festival. No, I'm only messing. That is also taking place this weekend and is going to be huge. But from our perspective, we're going to be focusing on the Donegal International Rally. It seems like it's going to be a cracker for a myriad of reasons. So we're going to be having a number of guests in studio to discuss that. And later on as well, we're going to be answering your gardening questions, by the way. So get the questions, get your comments in on that as well. 086 60 25,000, that is the text line. 086 60 25,000, or give us a call at 07491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
The band everyone is talking about, the Seeger Sessions Revival, the 13-piece band playing the music of Bruce Springsteen's Seeger Sessions at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town on Father's Day, Sunday 19th of June, 3 till 5 p.m. Tickets available now at eventbrite.ie.
New cap scheme to pay farmers €250 per hectare. For more on this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Farmers in the new scheme will also be offered priority entry to the new REP scheme. As the €1,000 silage scheme is set to open, we reveal details on when you'll be paid. And former Taoiseach John Bruton warns Ireland could have to enforce EU border.
Plus, don't miss the Irish Farmers Journal Junior newspaper written for young farmers inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
House to Home Bridgend, Donegal. Our modest front door opens onto 2 floors of Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining and occasional furniture. Step into our showroom and see how we can transform your house into a home. House to Home furniture, flooring, slide robes and interiors, Bridgend, Donegal.
Tesco Club Card has the power to lower prices on tasty nibbles like selected Pringles, now 3 for €5, and Marquis d'Albon Reserve Bordeaux Superior 75cl and Chateau Mazan Rouge 75cl, both better than half price at €8.50 each. It can't stop you getting crumbs everywhere though. Nothing's that powerful. Lower the cost of your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. The power to lower prices. Tesco. Every little helps. Product subject to availability. Excludes express stores. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
The Euro Millions Mega Draw is back. And it's really big. It's actually massive. This Friday, June 17th, the Euro Millions jackpot will be a guaranteed €130 million. It's just too big to miss. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Walk the line once again with the multi-award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns. Celebrate the music of the Man in Black at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday 18th of June. Limited tickets are available now at the box office. That's Cash Returns live at the Millennium Forum Derry on Saturday the 18th of June.
It started out so simply. It was only a limp. My walking stick is now a wheelchair. I am 50 years old and a dad of 2. My name is Mark Dignam and I have motor neuron disease.
Drink tea for MND this June and help Mark and over 400 families. Every kettle boiled and cup of tea made supports someone with MND. See imnda.ie.
Father's Day specials at Meehan's of Raffo. Slim, straight and bootcut jeans from only $29.99. Now stocking men's shirts and polo shirts up to 6XL. 20% off selected trousers and polo shirts. Men's shirts up to 6XL, only $24.95 at Meehan's of Raffo.
Due to continued expansion, Watson Hire in Letterkenny have a vacancy for a mechanic and plant fitter. Work will include maintenance and repair of plant hire, tools and equipment. Experience with diesel, petrol and electrical machinery will be important. A full driver's licence and basic computer knowledge is essential. This position is full-time and offers a competitive salary. To apply, send your CV to jobs@watsonhire.ie.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics to let you know about the Blomberg Integrated Dishwasher, which can save you time and money. When you're pressed for time, you can choose a quick 30-minute or 58-minute wash cycle or an intelligent auto program for perfect wash results every time. The German-engineered inverter motor means it operates at low noise level, so it's whisper quiet. And there's a 7-year parts and labour warranty for peace of mind. Call in and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre Dunlow.
The Friar's Rest, traditional fish and chip cafe and takeaway, serving breakfast, lunch and dinner every day at Glencar Shopping Centre. And now with a brand new sit-down opened in the Swillian Bar on the Gortley Road, just up from the Donegal International Rally Service Area. Serving lunch, dinner and takeaway 7 days. Good luck to all taking part in this weekend's Donegal International Rally.
Rally fever is building in the northwest. Join Highland Radio for live coverage of the Donegal International Rally, on air and online at highlandradio.com, in association with Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, Donegal's premier entertainment venue, where this Rally Friday, playing live, it's Sailor Bill.
Okay, so the 2022 dual Donegal International Rally returns to the highways and the byways of County Donegal this weekend with a star-studded lineup of entries for an event which celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. We're joined in studio now by a number of guests, so we'll say hello first to Oisín Kelly, Head of Sport with Highland Radio. Oisín, thanks for calling in.
Morning, Greg.
Also Inspector Seamus McGonagall's with us. Seamus, good morning to you.
Morning, Greg.
And we also have Brian Brogan, Chair of the Donegal Motor Club. Brian, good to have you in.
Morning, Greg.
And Eamon McGee, Clerk of the Course of the 2022 dual Donegal International Rally. So before we talk about, what's going on around the Garda operation and of course the coverage, Brian, I'll start with you. Where does this line up in terms of the previous years of this rally, in terms of the field, the way you feel you've got the course laid out, the organisation that's in place? Is it up there?
It certainly is, Greg. I suppose if you look back over the last 2 years, we had nothing, and
it's definitely better than last year's.
Without a doubt, and believe it or not, we did prepare for the last 2 years, and then again it was closed down at the 11th hour. But being the 50th anniversary, it's a huge hype for us, and it's a huge role for to carry for Donegal Motor Club and Eamon and his team, and he has everything intact too. So we have 208 cars of a field to get out on stages over the weekend, it's a massive job in its own right, and we've been working hard on it for months at this point now, and we're really looking forward to it. It's it's great for all of the people that are involved and that help and that they do their own wee chores when they're out. Everybody has a responsibility and a responsible part to play, and they're happy to do it, delighted to be out. And over the last 2 years, we didn't see them people, so we're delighted to be where we are now today, this morning. Yeah.
And everywhere you look in the various categories, I mean, there's a lot at stake here. There's a lot of people going to be landing here, with to do well, reflecting on other competitions and what have you as well. I mean, we're seeing the best of the drivers with plenty at stake. That's what you want in any sporting event, isn't it?
Yeah, Donegal is the pinnacle. There's no doubt in Ireland and far and beyond, because a lot of English people come here now. They keep coming back, and they just enjoy the hospitality of the people, the welcome that they receive, and the weekend is in it when you have 3 days, and a lot of them's coming for 5 and 6 days, which is very beneficial for the county too. And we welcome them and all. They have good fun, and it's a sport at the end of the day, I suppose. And it's volunteers that we have at hand that have to organise and manage it. So it's great for everyone that we're back on the road again.
Eamon, talk to us about, and for those who don't follow the rally intimately, all right, but maybe they're saying, this year could be the year that I want to go and see what's going on. How does it work in terms of the various different types of cars, the various different types of competition? I know it's probably pretty complex, but how does that work?
Well, it's hardly it's complicated, all right. Well, first of all, we probably have the first top 10 cars, and they can get in the British Isles at the moment, like the Irish boys and some of the English lads there, but they are the cream of Irish rallying at the moment. They're all here. And then the next section then probably would be which most people come as the modified section, and we do have the cream of modified at the moment. Any driver that's worth the salt is here this weekend. But then again, there is also people down, class winners probably down the end of the field. They have their own wee battles, and they take as much enjoyment out of it as anybody else does,
Yeah, and it's an expensive sport at all levels. These people are hugely passionate, and there's a lot of bragging rights at all levels as well.
Well, there
isn't
there is. Even to the last car, he's probably in a class, and if he wins that class, it's like first overall to him. So.
And in terms of setting the course out, how is that done? You know what I mean, in terms of deciding the stages, where they start, where they end, what factors are included? Is it about, how it might look, the challenge to the drivers? Because you have to get it right. It's like setting up a golf course, Yeah. If you don't do that right, the top golfers are going to say, these greens are too quick or your fairways are too wide. So how do you sort of set the course up? Is that a big job?
Well, it's not just something you spend, like we have tradition, we know all the stages, we use them over the years and then you kind of try. You don't want to be too same thing every year, so we kind of change it, chop and change at it, and you look at it and you say, how does that look? And then you have to watch. There's certain things you have to watch. You can't be too fast. You have to put in elements to slow them down a wee bit and stuff, So there's a lot. And then we work then with Motorsport Ireland for probably the last 3 or 4 months to get it on the safest way so it's safer for both spectating and competitors.
Yeah, indeed. And Oisin Kelly, from a sports perspective, this is up there. It's one of the jewels in the crowns in terms of the events that either Donegal is involved in, say for instance with the football, but certainly in terms of what we host. I mean, this is renowned.
This is like the All Ireland final, Greg. Basically, the simplest way to explain it is it's the All Ireland final for the rally, man. This is the big one. This is the one they want. It's part of a number of championships, primarily the Irish Tarmac Championship, which has been led at the moment by Josh Moffat. So it's a key part of that. But anybody who's involved in rallying, be it the top men that are competing in the series, or the club man that Eamon alluded to there, there's some men that might do 1 or 2 rallies a year, and this is one of them. And they put every penny that they earn over the last 12 months into it. So there's certain dynamics, and everybody has a different story in it. But it's massive. It's huge for Donegal. It's the biggest event in rally, and when you see someone like Matt Edwards, who's a 3-time British champion, want to come do this event and take on the challenge, and we've had big names previously here before. We do, of course, we had Colin McRae here, like Colin McRae, and we had Sebastian Loeb, and there's always somebody who wants to come and take on this challenge, because it's a challenge that there's nothing like it anywhere else in the world in rallying. You have tarmac rallies elsewhere, but it's not to the same sort of spec or challenge of Donegal. It's not, the road surface is totally different to what you would get in a tarmac rally somewhere in Europe, and to that extent even in England as well. So it is a unique challenge, but it's one that everybody in rallying that wants to be a part of, Greg. And it's, if you can finish Donegal, even if you don't win your class, you're top 3. If you get to the finish ramp on the Sunday evening at the Mount Errigal Hotel, you've taken on that challenge and you beat that challenge because you were able to get to the finish.
It feels like driving to work in the morning, but we all have to use these roads. Before we bring the inspector in, so how does it play out over the 3 days? I don't know do you want to take that one, Brian? It really kicks off Friday, it's Saturday, and it's Sunday then, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you have now this evening on the main street in Letterkenny, we have a ceremonial start at around 7:30, where you'll have the first top 20 cars there with maybe 20 locals again too that'll take part in that. So that's really officially where we start. Then we're off tomorrow morning. We'll be leaving the ramp at around 11 o'clock, and then into service, heading for your first loop of stages, then in the NH01 direction, back to service then again around 2 o'clock, and back to the same loop of stages repeated tomorrow. And then on to Saturday, then you're heading for service, and you have your 3 stages on Saturday, being the Cairnhill, the Fanad, and Knockalla, repeated twice, and then we're dropping the Knockalla stage on the final loop, which will leave 8 stages on Saturday. And then if we're lucky enough to be on it again on Sunday morning, we head then to Garton, first stage, Glen the second, and the Atlantic Drive for the third one. Service then and repeat again. So and between the first and second loop on Sunday, we have the past winners are taking part in that, on Glen and Atlantic Drive. So that's where Oisin might want to come in, some of those guys, where we have Ari Vatanen and Cahill Curley and.
Doesn't look too keen.
I'm actually thinking you better mention Seamus McGettigan here, Brian.
That's the point.
He'll not be happy if you're talking about past winners.
That's why I alluded to you, Oisin.
I was watching an old video of Seamus McGettigan coming into Letterkenny. I don't know how long ago it was, but the crowds, you know the way the crowds were back in the day. Yeah, it was a different time then. Inspector Seamus McGettigan, really, obviously everyone has to keep the race in the place. These guys will they've done this before, that's all well organised and all that type of stuff. I presume a lot of the Garda focus will be on those coming in to the county over the weekend.
Yes, Greg. Well, if I may first just compliment the Motor Club on reaching this milestone event and emphasise the fact that we have a very close rapport with the Motor Club, and there's been huge plans put in place and an awful lot of work is put into it from our perspective in association with Brian and Eamon and others. Yes, there is an emphasis for us on the supporters coming to the town and coming to the county for the weekend, and we'd just like to get the message across to everybody coming to slow down, to respect other road users and to respect the residents, and that really encapsulates everything we want. Just slow down and respect for others. Yeah,
but in anticipation of to enforce that, to police that, there is going to be a significant Garda operation. It's probably the biggest of the year, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a huge operation plan put in place.
You have colleagues coming up from Dublin, obviously, as many of not Dublin, sorry, up from down the country. Obviously, the Gardaí that are already here, out and about, visible, making sure that people stick to the rules.
There's a huge number of resources, both in terms of manpower and physical resources, that are going to be here over the weekend. Again, when you've a weekend like this, where there's huge numbers of people coming into the county, it's only natural that we're going to have to put a huge policing plan in place for it, and that has been done so. And in other years, things have gone very smoothly. In other years, there's huge numbers come through the town here in particular, and the county as a whole, and yet there's never any great issues about it. But we're prepared for all eventualities. We've the plans in place. We've great coordination and help with the Motor Club, as I said earlier, and we're ready to roll, as the case may be.
Yeah, indeed. And your colleague in with us earlier in the week, Sergeant Wolf, said there is a zero tolerance policy to this. If courts are needed, they're there. I saw some advice being put out even as it relates to modifications, as it relates to the likes of tinting on front windows. That is, people can expect to, if they encroach on the law, if they break the law, they can expect to be found out for it.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Sergeant Walsh said here on Tuesday, everything's in place to deal with all these issues that may arise. There's PSV inspectors out there that will inspect cars for any unlawful modifications, etc. we've got we've high visibility checkpoints and patrol out, but we also have a number of unmarked vehicles there, and everything should be in place to ensure that everybody keeps safe. And as I say, always our mission statement is to keep people safe, and that's particularly important on a weekend like this when there's such huge numbers around. And we just make that appeal to everybody to slow down, to respect others, and everybody will have a great weekend.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of spectating, and a lot of the people that we've just been talking about probably won't even do that. But for those who want to spectate, how do you know where you can stand, where you can park, where's safe, where's a good spot? I mean, obviously the regulars have an intimate knowledge of that, but again, I'm just thinking of those maybe, their sons or daughters are coming to an age where they've an interest in this kind of stuff. So how do you know where you can go and watch and all that type of stuff?
Well, a lot of people, like if you go and if you check out the maps, and you'll find out, like most of the we side roads or somewhere that we have on the map, no spectator viewing and thing, and good view, and they come and they'll find. But I would heed anybody that's coming, if the marshals are on that location or whatever that they come to, they heed them and they will make sure that you're standing safe. But again, one of the biggest points we've done as the likes of in Nagala, if anybody wants to go down there early, that road's closing 2 hours prior on the foot of the hill. They can be parked and bussed up to the top of the hill. There's a bus shuttle running, taking people up to the top of the hill till whatever time that we call it then, whether we were about to start competing on it. So, there's a good enough place for a family to come. They can get bussed up. There are plenty of viewing points up on the hill, and it is one of the scenic viewing points of the whole event.
Yeah, even if there's no cars there, it's bloody beautiful. All right, I'm going to go to the news a couple of minutes late, Emma, so hail your horses there. Brian, it's one of those though, isn't it? Everything that can be done has been done now. You just hope the weather plays ball, which looks good. I don't know if it's good, if it's rained or not, but anyway, it looks like it's going to be a good weekend. Everyone gets around safe, and that it's a good competition, and you can drop the shoulders on Monday and say, fantastic, 2022 was another great year. It's probably a bag of emotions at the moment, is it?
There's a lot going on, and it's challenging, I suppose, but that's what makes Donegal special, because unfortunately you will have a few days rain or a few showers and stuff like that, but that makes it more challenging for some competitors, and tyre choice and service crews, and the wee rub of the green is very important in it too. So, if you're out on it's 3 days at 15 or 20 degrees, everybody has the same tyre choice, less mistakes can be made, so it's more challenging when there is a shower of rain and you're going to different terrain where you need to be better prepared, better organised, and as I say, the wee rub of the green means a lot over the period of 20 stages and 3 days. But the spade work is done now at this point, and we're just looking forward to the drop of the flag now and get on with the race.
Oisin, talk to us about how people can track what's going on. As our phone line, as the reception's improved back in the day, it was tight to get reports back from different places. Hopefully that's improved. But tell us what people can.
I done an article for the programme about the rally and the radio, and back in the day that there was no mobile phone service. You had to go to the last house on Fannet Head, so you did just to get a report back to the station. But things have improved, Greg. And you can follow all the action on Highland. We'll be live on air, and we'll have extra stuff online on our website, on our social media channels. I'll be out and about on the road. Chris Ashmore's joining the team as he always does. Rally weekend, we're going to have him at service, situated in service. We've got the Highland bus out. The broadcast unit's going to be sitting down there as well. So it's going to be action packed.
You talk about lucky about finishing a journey, but
so it's going to be action packed, and you can follow everything on Highland on
right across the socials.
We'll be coming on to the score programme tonight from the main street for the ceremonial start, which starts at 7:30. So we'll be talking to a couple of the drivers, some of the top contenders, the likes of the two Moffats, Josh and Sam, and Callum Devine and Alistair Fisher, and listen, the list goes on. There's loads of modified men, and there's locals as well that will also be looking to make their mark this weekend, Greg.
That's it. And finally, Inspector, the last thing we want is to be having any conversations on Monday morning about, an RTC, a fatal RTC. All of that's completely avoidable if we just follow the simple bits of advice. Keep the race in its place, go to organised events, stay off the back roads, because I know there's numbers there available for locals to call in if stuff's going on. For crying out loud, if you're in the back seat of cars, put your seatbelts on. The amount of videos you see in social media of young ones having the crack, and there's not a seatbelt in the back of the car, and in a high-speed crash, it's horrific what can happen. So put your seatbelts on, please, please, please. But we don't want to be talking about anything on Monday morning. We don't want anyone on the obituary notices on Monday or Tuesday morning.
If people adhere to the simple advice just to slow down and respect other road users, it nearly goes without saying at this stage that people should always wear their seatbelts, not be drink driving, not be drug driving, as the case may be. But please just slow down, respect others, and hopefully on Monday morning here it'll be all about who won the rally and who came second and whatever, and there'll be nothing negative or nothing untoward occurred at all.
Yeah, all right. Anything anyone wants to add? Brian, Eamon?
I would just say in relation to the safety and obeying the marshals and officials is very important from a motor club point of view, and it's a wee bit more serious maybe than the Green Cross Code, and the people, the marshals that are out there actually know what they're doing, and if you're there and abide by them, they're looking after everyone's safety. So it's very, very important that all spectators would adhere to whatever information they're given to by the marshals and officials, that they're there for everyone's benefit.
Yeah. Exactly, and they know what's what, and they're there to keep people safe. That's the function, isn't it? Okay. Listen, thank you very much, Josh and Kelly. We'll be hearing plenty of you, as we always do, over at the weekends, of course. Best of luck with everything that you're doing. Inspector Seamus McGonigal, hopefully yours is as quiet a weekend as is possible. Brian Brogan, Chair of the Donegal Motor Club, as always, thank you. And last but not least, Eamon McGlee, Clerk of the course of the 2022 Joel Donegal International Rally. Thank you very much indeed. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay with us. Okay, it is 11:05, and we cross over now for the latest news headlines and say good morning to Emma.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. An engineer has again raised concerns about the defective concrete block scheme, saying he doesn't believe the enhanced scheme agreed this week will adequately address the problem. Dr. Ambrose McCluskey says there is still not enough information about the exact nature of block degradation, and previous recommendations that there be more research have not been followed through. Gardaí are appealing for information on a hit-and-run road traffic collision involving an Irish prison service van on the N2 at Kilcrow, Clonturbet, County Monaghan yesterday evening. At approximately 6:45, a gold-coloured BMW X5 was in collision with an Irish prison services van. The full report is available on our website at highlandradio.com. A Donegal TD has called for the voting age to be lowered to allow young people's voices to be heard in the climate debate. Deputy Thomas Pringle is bringing a bill forward next week on lowering the voting age to 16. He says the voices of young people must be part of the climate debate, as they are the ones who will be most affected by it. The PSNI is urging young people who have been sexually abused to come forward after a major case concluded in County Derry last week. On Thursday, June 9th, a 26-year-old man from the Derry area was sentenced to 10 years at Coleraine Crown Court. Joshua Alford was sentenced for a number of serious sexual offences against children. He will be placed on the sex offenders register for an indefinite period and will be subject to a sexual offences prevention order for 10 years. Donegal County Council is being asked to consider allocating its vacant houses through a choice-based letting model, which would involve advertising vacant properties and inviting people to register an interest. The change was suggested by Councillor Michael McBride, who suggested it could speed up the letting process. And finally, parts of the country will see a mini heatwave before the weekend, but it will largely bypass Donegal. Temperatures will reach up to 22 degrees in parts of the country this afternoon, rising to almost 25 degrees tomorrow. However, the weekend will see cooler temperatures and more unsettled weather. That's all for now. We'll be back again with the headlines at 12 noon.
Okay, Emma, thank you very much indeed for that. Back with more after the break. By the way, the Paul's going to be answering your gardening questions. Get them into us right now. 08660 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Ready Steady Grow Childcare Centre, Ballabafay, requires 2 full-time and 2 part-time childcare assistants and a further 2 to cover maternity leave. An experienced cook for 15 to 20 hours per week. For further information, contact Paula on 074 91 90151 or send your CV to info@rsgchildcare.com.
Wet n Wild, your one-stop shop for water sports, is fully stocked with all the leading brands of wetsuits, bodyboards, kayaks, paddleboards, scuba gear, swimwear, dry robes, tow floats, UV protection, life jackets, sunglasses, buoyancy aids, picnic blankets, cool boxes, cool bags, cook sets, stoves, barbecues and beach windbreaks. So if you're on, in, under or beside the water this summer, Wet n Wild can keep you safe and looking good.
If you're having any hearing difficulties, at Donegal Hearing Clinic we can help. If your hearing loss is slight but you want to look into it, or it's got to the point where you've no other choice, we'll do what it takes to resolve your problem. It may be as simple as a wax removal. Donegal Hearing Clinic, Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Milltown Business Park, Buncrana. Call us on 07491 88470 or visit donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
All roads lead to Warehouse Bar and Kitchen, Main Street, Letterkenny this rally weekend. Food and drink served all day. Late night opening all weekend. Live music and DJs throughout the rally. Warehouse Bar and Kitchen would like to wish all the competitors good luck this rally weekend.
Premier Division football resumes this weekend after the summer break, and Finn Harps swing back into action with a derby clash away to Sligo Rovers this Saturday night. Join Dermot Doherty and Declan Boyle for live match commentary from 7:45 kickoff at the showgrounds. Finn Harps live on Highland in association with the BNS Credit Union Ballabafay, whose members-only big card draw takes place on Wednesday the 6th of July. A beautiful Hyundai i20 and thousands in cash prizes will be given away. Save the date. BNS Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
It's all happening at the Farmers' Home in Strabane this weekend. Come along and enjoy live music in the beer garden with Thran O'Brien's. There's a free barbecue from 8 till 9. Don't miss it this Saturday the 18th. Celebrate the Summer Jam in Strabane at the Farmers' Home.
Is your home or motor insurance up for renewal? Now is the time to check if your policy still offers you the right cover and the right fit at the right price. To be sure you're getting the best deal, take this opportunity to shop around. It's easier than you think. Simply contact your insurer or broker today. Remember, don't just renew, review. For more information, visit understandinginsurance.ie. Brought to you by Insurance Ireland.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. And good to have Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochdower Garden Centre, coming in, answering your questions. Paul, when was the last time you were in?
2 weeks.
Wow. Time goes really quick. Is that as you get older, I wonder? I don't know. It's worrying, though. Can't believe it's Thursday already. Come here. We're in the throes of summer now. It's great, isn't it? The weather, not playing ball, maybe it's good for growth, is it?
Very much. Any plants in the ground is thriving at the minute because it's actually not suffering for lack of water, if you know what I mean. Just the cold one there has been sowing the wee bedding plants and that sort of stuff. But now anything that's sort of people establishing hedges, that's just perfect conditions for that.
All right, okay. Right, let's get to some questions. Well, we'll get to some questions after we run through a few bits and bobs. Gives people the chance to have text in. I heard a potato blight warning there. They were able to say it was specifically for Donegal and a few other areas. What weather factors play into a potato blight warning?
Pretty much generally sort of dull, muggy weather. It's quite warm and humid. It's sort of perfect conditions for the potato blight to spread. It spreads from leaf to leaf, and like sort of stagnant air that's not moving that much yet, quite mild and damp sort of conditions is perfect for it.
And can farmers do anything about that? Because it's all right having the warning, but what can you do to prevent it?
Probably commercial farmers are looking at sort of sprays.
Yeah.
Chemical sprays, pretty much. A lot of people are sort of going against that at the moment because it's a food crop, so they want to go to sort of more organic ways of doing it. And it's another thing where people are actually going back to old ways. You get a product your probably grandparents would have used called Bluestone to actually keep the blight off potatoes. It's sort of coming back into fashion now because it's still classed as organic.
All right. And is potato blight like a bacteria or an animal? What actually is it?
Yeah, it's a fungus actually. It spreads by spores, which sort of moves from field to field and settles in the leaves. And it's a good practice to get into good sort of hygiene around your garden too. If you do get sort of blight, it's very important to remove the tops and actually take them away and actually burn them or something like that, so that they don't sort of, if they lay about in a compost heap, they can actually reinfect next year.
Yeah, and such as the nicest foods are the ones that are the most fattening. You can get blight resistant crops, but they're not the tastiest.
Well, that's my opinion. Now, you do get their Hungarian potatoes. They're called Sharpos. There are a few different varieties of them now. They tend to be quite watery, sort of waxy spuds, if you know what I mean. So it's sort of a matter of taste, I suppose.
Yeah, literally a matter of taste. Okay, June. What's June go for planting? Is that
it's actually a great time now. Kids are off school or coming off school in the next week or two, so it's a great time to get planting. Even seeds of that take off quite well in June. Sort of stuff like scallions, that sort of stuff would go well, and it's a good enough month to be planting pretty much anything into the ground.
And it's probably easy. And we probably think, do you know the way we are? We probably think, look, the weather's never going to improve, but it is. Next week's actually looking to be quite good. We could see a fall off on rainfall, higher temperatures, not necessarily next week, but certainly into July and August. So you have to be mindful of that as well. It's not going to be all rosy like it is now at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Once the weather comes good, it's great to get out and about.
Now, judging by my social media, I'm the only person left in Donegal. Everyone else is taking pictures of their toes beside a pool at Farn somewhere. What advice have you got for those that are planning, maybe if they're lucky enough to get away for a week or 2 weeks and wondering what they're leaving behind them?
Probably if you are lucky enough to get away, I suppose main concern along with pets would be people's houseplants. A lot of people treat their houseplants as like a pet almost. So they would. So it's a good idea just to bear it in mind. Probably the most reliable thing is just if you have a trusted neighbour or relative, get them to call in and give them a wee water.
You'll have to cover their break then, but sure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, but now there are a few other tips you can do. Like a lot of people would actually move. I see my mother used to always move everything to the bath and put like a few bath towels, wetted bath towels in under like a wick almost, and put all the houseplants in there.
What about your outdoor stuff that you can't dig up and bring into the bathroom?
The outdoor stuff, if it's in pots, that sort of stuff, generally what you would do would be to remove all your pots, say, wherever it's a sheltered spot, be it around the back of the house, around the back of the garage, anywhere the wind's not going to get at them, and dry them out.
Yeah.
And but the only problem with that there is to do that, then that sort of damp, humid area you want to keep them where it keeps them watered is actually where the slugs and snails like to hang out too. So
and the conditions are perfect for them.
Exactly. So you might have to put a few extra slug pellets around your pots or something like that there.
Just cancel your holidays.
Yeah,
the only solution. Cancel the holidays.
Stay at home with the plants.
Yeah, that's it. Stay at home with your plants. It's the only real solution. Right, let's get to some questions. Are the garden centre roadies the same as the ones you see in the wild?
No, they're not. The ones you see in the wild is the rhododendron ponticum, which is a very bad reputation in terms of the purple one.
Bit of a drinker, starts the odd row. What's
pretty much generally when I get any badness you can get up to.
All right.
But no, it's very invasive and it spreads and spreads. Like Glenveigh down there is just riddled with them there. But the ones you buy in the garden centres now, they're bred for colour and they're all hybridised, so they're actually they're classed as stagnant plants in terms of you plant one plant and it'll stay one plant. It won't sort of move itself along.
What's eating the leaves off my gooseberry bush, and how can I prevent it?
Gooseberry bush, it'll be likely to be sort of aphids can do it at this time of year, or gooseberries tend to suffer very badly from a thing called softfly, which generally once again you're looking at some sort of chemical spray. I would say to get rid of some sort of insecticide. Softflies can actually be very hard to kill.
Where my hydrangea plant is in a dry spot in my garden, when is the best time to dig up the roots and move it over?
Yeah, generally any time from about the 1st of December up to about St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
That's probably the dormant season for us.
Right, I'm trying to grow a hedge. How often should I feed and water it?
If you're feeding it with some sort of like organic or a good old-fashioned chicken poo.
Good chicken poops.
Pretty much. Feed it every 3 months. Start about around St. Patrick's Day, 1st of April, and then sort of do about 3 feedings from 3-month periods from then on.
Because it's hungry.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you're looking to establish it, like obviously the better fed it is, the better it's going to perform.
All right, I'm living by the sea, but the land is not great. What would you recommend to grow?
To grow, generally what it calls anything. If you actually look at plants in the garden centre, anything with a greyish tinge to leaf is actually very much geared towards seaside growing. So it is. So if you get sort of like the sea hollies, that sort of stuff, it probably depends on your exposure and everything.
Because wind is important, isn't it?
Wind and the salt in the air can be a problem. But once again, it's about sort of looking at your garden in stages. Maybe on the windy side, get a hedge planted, get it established, and that sort of creates a wee microclimate behind it. You can actually grow much more stuff than you originally thought.
Yeah, okay, if you protect it from the worst of the ground conditions itself. I mean, does the quality of soil by the sea vary to the quality of soil in land?
It can do. Sometimes around the sea, like
sandy stuff, isn't it?
Up around sort of Downings, Carrigarth, that tends to be very sandy soil. Whereas you go over sort of more towards Goodore, Bunbeg, you can get peaty soil right down to things. So it's just a matter of probably sitting back and always, for no matter what you're trying to grow, if you stand back and look at your neighbours' gardens, sort of established gardens in the locality, you can see what has done well for them.
Yeah, true. Or call around for a cup of tea and ask them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Cats keep making their way into my garden that I've just done up. Is there any safe way of deterring them?
Once again, the cats it's always a problem for people. It's one of the most common things you get asked in the garden centre. Generally, the most safe and
what harms do cats do, by the way? They're poo and pee. Is it harmful?
It can be harmful. I think it takes or carries a parasite. But the main problem with it is the fact that they sort of dig up. Their natural instinct is to bury.
Right.
Stuff.
Okay.
So they dig up and they dig up plants and stuff like that. So the most reliable thing is just to persevere with them, get the hose, and if you see them, just give them a squirt.
And they learn that
pretty much
when they land, they're gonna.
They'll
All
find
right,
somewhere better.
Okay, I've just moved into an apartment and I miss my big garden at my home house. What plants would thrive best in a small plot? I have a small balcony and want to make it as green as possible. So they're looking in a small space to go big.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can actually do in a small space like a balcony. You can make it look great. Something like that, there are a lot of factors involved. First, the main factor would be the direction you're facing. If it's like a north-facing balcony, you're going to be looking at more greenery, sort of stuff like even hostas, that sort of stuff. But you're not going to get the impact from the flowers. Where if you have a south-facing balcony or even a west-facing balcony, you'll get actually decent flowers.
Is that about how much sun it gets? It's
exactly.
Basic as that.
So it's just pretty much the north-facing is going to get very little sun, so that's where you're going to be focused on your greenery.
Garden centre job, that sounds like.
Pretty much.
But find out which way your balcony's facing or your space, depending on who's listening, your space is facing, because that's useful information.
Yes, and how much wind it gets to. Sometimes it can be very, very exposed.
Horsetail grows all over my garden. I've used a horsetail spray using water. Is this good for preventing blight? It's a recipe for my grandparents.
Right. I'm not too sure what they're referring to exactly, but the stuff for the mare's tails would be a herbicide. And like if it's going to kill mare's tails, it's going to be a herbicide, which is going to kill
these are these little things that will go up through absolutely anything,
Yes.
and they've got the little green...
Come through tarmac and everything. They're like real sort of dinosaur looking plant almost. So they are a nightmare to get rid of.
Yeah. But have you heard, I suppose, because we don't know what traditional spray they're using, have you heard of anything organic or homemade that works against these?
Not really. You can do the whole sort of vinegar, Epsom salts route, which will help to control them, but it doesn't actually kill the root.
All right,
And
okay.
The main problem with them is the fact that they're so waxy and sort of shiny that don't absorb any chemical.
Yeah.
So that's what makes them so hard to kill.
And that nature has designed them like that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? This is not a coincidence. These things, like us, they've probably evolved more than we have.
Well,
Two
I think
cavemen sitting here, but you know what I mean? Like this is nature's way of surviving.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
I think
like
they've been about
it's
millions of
terrible, but
years.
it's wonderful all at the same time.
Yeah.
Millions of years.
I think so.
Okay, that's just the one in my driveway. What's the right time to grow rocket? Can it be done in window boxes? And what about basil? Can it be grown too? Thank you kindly.
Right, very good. Rocket, very easily grown. So it can be grown all year round, pretty much if you even sort of on a windowsill. Generally, if you have a sunny windowsill, it'll fly along. So it will, and you can start it any time of the year. Probably winter time, be more chatting greenhouse polytunnel. Basil can be, basil's a tough one to grow, so it is now. A lot of the time you buy them in supermarkets, the wee plants, that sort of stuff. But generally, it's an indoor job. So it does be inside of the windowsill.
I'll just show those watching on the website there this image. You can see the plant there. I don't know what it looks like, pasta along the bottom of it. But this caller says, "What is this around my plants, and will it affect my other plants? Could it be a fungus? Like mushrooms, are they? What is it?
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. It'll
Mushroom.
be a type of a fungus. I'm not too sure exactly what type, but it looks to me in that picture like the bark. It's either homemade compost or barks around the plant, and chances are the mushroom spores are actually in the bark as much as anything else.
So it was imported in. It's
quite possibly, yeah,
in the bark.
The sort of Incusiformium's the plant behind it there, and it's just a case of that would be unlikely to produce mushrooms like that.
So ignore them.
Pretty much ignore them. They're kind of unsightly, if you know what I mean, but they're not actually going to do any harm.
What about lifting the bark out, the top layer of bark out, and putting down a...
Possibly you could put down some fresh stuff.
All right, okay. Well, that's the answer. It is a fungus. Okay. Pictures are always good. Send them in to us. It's very interactive. Is there any natural household thing that kills weeds on the pathway? I don't want to use chemical things, even if it's safe to animals. I've tried the jug of washing powder.
Yes, a lot of people, there was a big thing in using washing powder for a while. The most reliable one, like I say, is a mixture with vinegar, Epsom salts and fairy liquid. And you mix it up, and it does work to an extent.
And when you do have a go at the weeds, I mean, for a couple of days it can look like nothing's happening.
Yes, absolutely.
It takes time, doesn't it?
Even many chemical weed killers actually boost on the weed for 3 or 4 days before it starts acting, because it's important for the actual product, for the product you get into the plant, that the plant's actively growing, to bring it around the system, basically. So it almost promotes the growth for 3 or 4 days before it actually poisons.
And when I've used this stuff, right, you know, it takes a long time for the weeds to die, and you feel like, well, instantly new weeds are going to come. Does it have a long-lasting effect in the area that you've sprayed, or will it only kill what's there, and if something seeds there again, it'll just grow again?
Pretty much most systemic weed killers will go down into the roots and kill them off in that sense.
Yeah.
A lot of other weed killers just kill off the top growth, so just kill off what you see, and in a few weeks' time it'll be back up again.
How do you get rid of weed in flower boxes? It chokes the rest of the flowers. It's string like clover weed.
Yes, I know the kind of stuff. I can't for the life of me remember the name of it
That's
now, but I
okay.
know exactly the one. But now just manually remove it. Put a pair of gloves on you and take it out to the
Get
baton.
in
Yeah,
there.
pretty much.
We've had this, I think, in consecutive weeks. Anything to kill ivy. I think you suggest you have to cut it off, but it's
Pretty much. Cut it
and
off.
wait for it. It's a long-term thing, isn't it?
I cut it off and let it loosen its grip basically on the tree or on the house or whatever it happens to be attached to, and then whenever you have it cut off, you should be easily able to remove it. But
Yeah.
any sort of glyphosate-based weed killer will kill it off.
This caller put tarmac down last summer.
Mm-hmm.
This summer, weeds are coming up through it.
Yeah.
Is that the weed taking hold in the holes in the tarmac? It's probably not coming from underneath the tarmac, is it?
Once again, it could be your mare's tails. Will actually
Yeah.
bust through tarmac, no bother. So we'll but it wouldn't be suitable for using on ground that you're going to do again. But on a tarmac driveway that they're from mare's tails, a lot of time it's actually grit and salt. Works quite well.
That won't damage it because this is going to look lovely. It's going to be perfectly flat,
Yeah,
black.
it won't actually damage it now. But unfortunately, the weeds pushing up through it will possibly create.
So they
cracks
are
in
coming
it.
from under it and through it.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, okay. My daffodils died off really early this year. Is it too soon to cut them down now?
No, you should be all right. Sort of, it's one of them things. The longer you can leave it, the better results you'll get next year. So you will, but you at this stage you could probably cut them down. They should have done their work.
Okay, and an unreliable question, but very welcome nonetheless. I'm looking to plant a hedge on an exposed site. What hedging would suit to plant now at the minute?
I suppose it depends on your level of exposure, but our general go-to for that there is the Gristlinia. And if it's sort of more exposed, you think, than that there, we have one called Olearia traversiae as well, which is a sort of silvery green leaf on it, similar to what I said about the seaside sort of stuff.
All right.
But we would send that to a lot of islands like Toria or Arnmore there.
Well, that's
So
I think
quite
that's,
well out
yeah.
there.
If they're going out there, they'll do well then. So right, that's Paul McLaughlin of the Ballochdur Garden Centre. Paul and his colleagues, not just at the Ballochdur Garden Centre, but at garden centres around the region, they love you landed in plenty of help
Yeah,
and stuff like that
absolutely.
there. That's what you're there for. So we give you just a sample of some answers, but if you want to speak, don't be shy, go in. That's what they're there for, and they love chatting. Some would say, Paul, maybe you like to chat too much.
Quite possibly. My father, the boss down there, tends to think so, all right.
Son. All right, listen, thanks very much, Paul, as
Perfect.
always.
Thank
I
you,
really
Greg.
appreciate it. Okay, that's Paul McLaughlin, gardener there, as I say, at Ballochdur Garden Centre. All right, we'll be back after this. Keely Beggs. Kyle Cannon in Bonamy. He's 21 today. Happy birthday, Kyle, from his granny and papa in Bonamy. To my dear friend Teresa Harkin in Carndonagh, who's celebrating a big birthday today. Not too big, I hear. Lots of love coming in from Sandra, Rick and Joshua in Carndonagh as well. And Frank McGettigan was on to us to say that a Samsung between AIB and the station roundabout Letterkenny has been lost on Wednesday evening. If you found a Samsung phone, let's get it back to its owner. Get in contact with us. We'll pass on the details.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The band everyone is talking about, the Seeger Sessions Revival, the 13-piece band playing the music of Bruce Springsteen's Seeger Sessions at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town on Father's Day, Sunday 19th of June, 3 till 5 p.m. Tickets available now at eventbrite.ie.
Whatever the weather, night or day, Letterkenny Driving Range is open to 10 p.m. daily. Are you a beginner or thinking of taking up golf? Our bays allow you to practice the good and not so good shots for as little as €3. Practice makes perfect at Letterkenny Driving Range, open 7 days. Find us on Facebook.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire, exclusive stockist of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 9126276.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Signs.ie, creating signs that create business. From stationery to shop fronts, logo design to number plates and tinting. Let our in-house design team create the best solution to your branding needs. The specialist in vehicle graphics and motorsport livery. Signs.ie, quality you can see.
Choose your local Centra for great offers for Father's Day. Like Centra Fresh Hours Sirloin Steak, 454 gram, only €6. Inspired by Centra Selected Brunch Range, any 3 for €6. And Las Maras Data Wine Range, only €8 each. Celebrate summer, choose Centra. Centra, live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
All right, this next stuff really pees me off. It's pointless. It serves no purpose other than to throw the hard work of community volunteers and the community as a whole throw stuff in their face. Liam Maley's chair of the Convoy Community and Environmental Committee. Liam, thanks for speaking to us this morning.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm all right. It's sickening, this stuff, isn't it? I mean, on the scale of things, we know there's a lot going on, but still, these are our simple pleasures and a great deal of effort and people disrupted. Right, so tell us what's gone from Convoy.
Well, in Convoy, we had street benches out, recycled plastic street benches. We had numerous ones out around the town. But on the approach roads onto Convoy, there was benches also there. And we noticed recently that we noticed that the Letterkenny Road one had gone missing. And the next time we started to do a search, and we noticed totally 5 benches had gone missing. These benches are of different colours, green, blue, browns and reds, and they're bolted down onto the ground. Mm-hmm. So basically it's very disappointing to find out that they have been stolen,
And this requires effort. This is not like someone jumping up and down on a wooden bench or knocking the back off it. Or these have to be either unscrewed or cut from the ground.
Well, some of them has been. See, what happens is there is a 6-inch screw, screws down the side of the panel or the side of the leg off the bench, and when it's fully intact, it's not visible.
Mm.
So, how to get into them, I don't know how they got into them, because each of the holes then is are filled with silicone, like, you know. So it definitely was to me. It was a professional job, like, you know.
So someone would have to root out the silicone. Obviously, that's to stop the water getting down and rotting the screw. That has to be. Firstly, they have to uncover where they're fixed. Take off out silicone, get in at the screw. You get the impression that they were actually unscrewed and removed rather than wedged off.
Some of them now we noticed that some of them has been an angle grinder has unbolted them as such, and some of them has just been forced out of their sockets and where they were located, like, you know.
And how many seats are these? Like, say one of the benches.
There's 5 in total.
Right, and how many could sit on one of them? Like, I'm trying to get an idea of the scale.
An idea would be you would have at least a 2, if not 3. You could push 3 at
Three,
most.
if
Like,
you were friendly enough. Yeah.
I'd be comfortable with 2, like, you know.
Right, I get you.
And
of the total benches, how many are there?
5.
And
5 in total.
So all have been stolen, or do some remain?
Oh no, they're still. The funny part about it, Greg, is the benches that have been stolen are on the outskirts of the town, on the approach roads.
Yes.
The ones in the town where they would be located would be the commander, maybe the scrutiny of a CCTV, right?
Yeah.
So they haven't been touched so far. Like, you know, it's terrible when you leave the house now in the morning or go up in the evening and have a wee walk around or a drive around, and you're checking to see if the benches are still there. You know, it's just so sickening, like, you know.
And these are distinctive, aren't they? They're high quality recycled plastic benches. Can you describe how they look to us?
Well, how they look to you, they're actually there will be two legs, solid plastic legs, big strong legs, and on the seat side of it, then there will be three blocks of plastic imitation timber, and they could be anything with 4x2s, like, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no back on these now. We have ones with backs on them, but these ones have been stolen have no backs on them.
Can you try and get into the mind of the person responsible? What do you think they're stealing them for? For sale on the internet? Do they think they look good in there?
It's hard to know what the idea was, like, you know. But I mean, they must have had a reason to steal them, like, you know, whether it be for their own use or for the resale again, like, you know. But like it's cost us those 5 seats there to replace them now would cost us anything in the region of €2,000.
Right, and
you know?
and at this point, you would be reluctant to put them out again because these people clearly know what they're at. Like,
have a serious consideration of will we put them out again, or where will we put them again? Because where they had been located are nice areas, like because of the town parks there were 2, one on the Chapel Bray, halfway up Chapel Bray, beside the church, the old graveyard, the gate, and the second one was the top of the hill there beside St. Bridget's School. That's a hilly area, like, and there'd be a lot of old people walking up and down to the housing estates, so it was nice for them to sit back and relax, you know.
Yeah.
Then the one on Letterkenny Road was up beside the Brunley Manor, and the footpath beside Brunley Manor.
It's just confusing. Like, I mean, for the money that they're expensive, new, obviously, because they're high quality. But how much for the effort that someone put into this? How much are they getting on the secondary market for them? You know, it is pointless, clearly. But even commercially, for whoever's responsible, it seems pointless. Right, so people keep an eye out on the different online markets and stuff as well.
And I'm also maybe highlighting the fact to other community groups and the community and the surrounding areas, because if it happened to us, it could easily happen to them too.
Oh, we've seen it often with conversations like this, Liam. People go, "Oh, that happened in our area." So, over what period of time do we think they were taken? Because it's obviously we don't know when they were noticed.
No, for me to put a time on it, I wouldn't be. I just noticed that the first one was missing last Monday night, and up until last night we've now accumulated 5.
But people will have passed a van or a car that had to have been parked there for a period of time to get the angle grinder out, to lift it, throw it into the back of the van or the back of the car. Like, people have seen this happening, whether they realise it or not.
It may have been done at night, like, but, you know. It could have been a nighttime job, like, you know.
Right.
And the less people around at that time, like, you know.
Okay, well, we need to get to the bottom of this.
we just wanted to highlight it to other community groups just to be aware, like, you know.
For sure. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you're well, let's say, for instance, they're not going to be sold in convoy, right? So we presume that the market's elsewhere. If you can get them on the outskirts of convoy and feel you can get away with it, why would you stop there? Why wouldn't you go to the next town over or the next town over? So I think community groups really need to check their stock.
Very much so. We were so familiarised with them, like, you know, I mean, they were there since before COVID, and we just were taking it just as part of the town, like, you know.
Mm.
But then when they went missing, like, it was a different story. We went and we started to look around us and within our community, and unfortunately for us, there were 5 of them in total missing.
Right. Okay.
You know, the ones still intact are in the town centre, and they'll be scrutinised with CCTV, like, you know.
Right. Well, we've officially put out the bench warrant now. So
yeah,
if anyone,
thank you for taking the call.
Yeah. Okay. If anyone wants to pass on any information, get onto the Gardaí, get on to us, whatever. We'll pass it on.
The guards are involved too, like, you know.
The eyes of the public are going to solve this one, I think.
Yeah, very much so.
Right, Liam, listen, and it's a sickener for you and the rest of those involved.
Yeah, well, our committee works hard, like, you know.
That's exactly what I was just about to say, and this is a slap in the teeth. Liam, thanks.
This is really a kick in the teeth for us, all right.
All right, take care of yourself. 086 60 25,000. Hey, if it's happened in your area too, let us know.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard. Bringing full banking features. Delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
New cap scheme to pay farmers €250 per hectare. For more on this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Farmers in the new scheme will also be offered priority entry to the new REP scheme. As the €1,000 silage scheme is set to open, we reveal details on when you'll be paid. And former Taoiseach John Bruton warns Ireland could have to enforce EU border.
Plus, don't miss the Irish Farmers Journal Junior newspaper written for young farmers inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Pet Value have a brand new store at St Mary's Road, Buncrana. I called in at the weekend. The animals are incredible. Plus, they have so much on offer. They know a lot about what is best for your pets, from the smallest fish to the largest dog. Pet Value Buncrana. They care about your pets.
This summer, think barbecue, think fresh meat and poultry. All available every day at Quisla Supermarket. Think fresh bread, salads, sauces and drinks. We have everything to make the barbecue extra special and tasty. Open 7 days for your convenience. Quisla Supermarket, where quality and value are assured.
Donegal County Council are delighted to announce that the Lough Foyle ferry service linking Greencastle and Magilligan and the Swilly ferry service linking Buncrana and Rathmullen are now fully operational. Both ferries operate 7 days a week. Further information, including timetables and fares, can be found at loughfoyleferry.com or swillyferry.com.
Get ready for Rally Weekend at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, Donegal's premier entertainment venue, where tomorrow night playing live at Sailor Bill. Exquisite luxury and incredible entertainment at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny. Proud associate sponsor of the Donegal International Rally.
Would you like to find out how your company could be doing big business with TransLink? On Wednesday, the 22nd of June, at Titanic Belfast, Intertrade Ireland is holding a Meet the Buyer event with TransLink. On the day, you'll find out about a pipeline of contracts valued at €60 million and over. Make game-changing connections through one-to-one meetings with key TransLink decision-makers. Plus, you'll receive invaluable advice and guidance on how to successfully tender for TransLink contracts, and more. Register now at intertradeireland.com.
Okay, what a wonderful interview. This is our interview earlier on with the gentleman that met the Pope on Monday. The man is so lucid, he's not bitter or angry. I practice my faith and I feel so emotional when I think how evil men did terrible things and that supposedly good men covered it up. And thanks for your comments on the interview as well, which I won't read out, but thank you for them nonetheless. County by county, how many customs checks points are there? I travel through Ireland for work. You only see them in Donegal. No one has any issues with it. I just never see them anywhere else. Well, I presume it's targeted because we're a border county. Right, now, you might remember that we were speaking to a gentleman a few weeks ago and we were talking about a new thing that was being unveiled, fully fitted changing places and a step-down facility officially opened later in Nairn. And we said, listen, come back on closer to the time and we'll talk about it. Well, those chickens have now come home to roost. Paul, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good to have you on the programme. This is Paul Dawson. Right, you worked with the council to get these facilities opened up at the beach in Portneuf. They're pretty unique. There's very little like this anywhere, right? So talk to us about why we felt that the need was there, the journey, and what's going to be the result.
Yes, certainly. Basically, it was, again, all about accessibility. We have a beach wheelchair down here, and a lot of the county's beaches have. But it was only accessible for really people that could walk or something. You know, if you were actually in a chair, you would require a hoist to get into it. So we noticed this when I first moved into the area. So there was basically two choices, either to purchase a mobile hoist as a community or go for the Changing Places facility. So we went for that, and we did a lot of fundraising. Local businesses, local politicians from all over Donegal at all levels gave to it very kindly on a personal level because it was non-political. It was just for the community, and we managed to achieve, as you said, the first in the Northwest and the first, I believe, at a beach location anywhere in Ireland. And I stand to be corrected, but I'm nearly certain of that.
Yeah, and what does this mean then? Do you think that, you know, those who would love to have gone to the beach previously but felt they couldn't will be beating a track now to Portneuf? Obviously, it's going to service the local community. Paul, what do you think that the consequences of this development will be?
Well, yes, it has fantastic implications. In actual fact, we've holding the official opening today, and senior members of the MS Society and the Irish Wheelchair Association have attended themselves. Which again brings it out there. So obviously the information will permeate throughout the MS Society, throughout the Irish Wheelchairs and other disability groups.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely it's a very relaxing day out now for many people in wheelchairs to visit Yarn.
Yeah, and we don't want this to be a one-off. We don't want to be perpetually unique here. Let this be an example to other communities what can be done if the will is there.
Precisely, that's what we hope for it to be held up as a kind of best practices. We wouldn't like everyone in the whole world coming here to Nyar.
Oh, feel they have to, yeah. As beautiful as it is, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. But it's beautiful and all. It's like, you know, but it's fantastic. We hope to this to be the start of something. And I'm kindly assured from Mr. McGarvey of the County Council that it is the beginning of something that's going to spread throughout the county.
Leonard Malloy is chair of the Dolman Centre. Good morning to you, Leonard.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm great. It's a great day, isn't it? It's a really significant day, I think.
Yes, it's a fabulous day for the area here, and as Paul has alluded to, you know, the fact that this is the first Changing Places site in the Northwest, I think it's the beginning of a process. Michael McGarvey today mentioned the fact that, you know, there's plans afoot for Twin Towns, for Letterkenny, for Bundoran, for Burton Port, because these are all new developments, so that these Changing Places type facilities, and hopefully they will be at that standard, because that is the premier standard for you know, a facility, a disabled toilet facility, and that'll be available throughout the county.
Yeah, because people have to, as it stands, and you know this, Paul, people have to plan journeys around facilities. Yeah. You know, a lot of people, I know people that have to go around abouts to get somewhere to try and find facilities that have you know, adequate space or a hoist or whatever it might be. Like, that's the reality of for a lot of people in this country.
That's in fact what Mary McGrenner from the Irish Wheelchair Association was saying to me prior to the opening today. She was saying that they, when they're planning their days out, have to plan where their toilet breaks are going to be. And she said, unfortunately, in a lot of situations, they had to use their own facilities. So, you know, just the simple thing that, you know, we all think of going to the beach for a day, that makes that a reality for a lot more people now. So
it's inclusive. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's stuff that we should have already done, and that's not in any way to limit this. Leonard, it's great to be part of something that's a first as such, as far as we can determine, but we don't want to be first for too much longer. We'll always be first, but we want to see these plans progressed right around the county and country.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah, and you got that commitment. Cheers, Leonard. Well done for your involvement. Paul, so for those listening, as an education, but also so people can sort of determine if it fits their needs, can you describe what has been established? What's it look like? What's in it? Who can use it?
Yes, certainly. It's basically, as I say, fully accessible and fully inclusive. It has an adult changing bench, an overhead hoist system for transfers, a privacy screen. There's numerous pieces of equipment. Everything, the whole health and safety of users' needs has been taken into consideration. And we've actually started a first, I believe, again, I believe a lot, with changing places. A lot of our equipment is actually Braille marked up, and I know it's just an over-the-top thing, but we thought it would be excellent.
Well, if you're going to go, if you're going to go inclusive, go all inclusive. It's fantastic, I think. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, and then what it does is it sets a standard for the future, Paul.
Precisely. Yeah, exactly, Greg.
Is it secure and stuff? I mean, generally speaking, people visiting the area, we don't want these facilities to be unavailable to people that need them. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm trying to sort of, cut stuff off at the pass, so to speak. In terms of access, respect for the facilities and what have you, for the general population, Paul, is there a message there?
Yes, well, our particular facility is open from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock in the evening, and then there'll be a number provided. There is a number provided for out of hours, if you like, accessibility as well. Like, so that's a normal system that Changing Places would operate a radar key system, what they call a skeleton key system, for these type of facilities. But as you've quite right pointed out, a lot of these facilities, the Changing Places, are more or less concentrated around the urban areas like Dublin. They have them in Trinity University, Dublin Airport, the National Museum, places like that. So that's why it's so great to have it in such a rural.
That's brilliant. Brilliant, Paul. Listen, I'm delighted to have you back on like we said we would. It's great that the day has arrived. Fair play to you and all the agencies and people that had to work with you and others to get this over the line. It's a monumental day. It's brilliant, I think. And it's good that we're the leaders in a particular area. But let's not just be on our own for very much longer. Paul, thanks so much and well done.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself.
Have a nice day. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Brilliant development there. Okay, 086 60 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Have you bought your NCBI Radio Bingo book yet? Contribute to this fantastic charity and be in with a chance to win daily cash prizes of €400. Books are now available from your local retailer.
Premier Division football resumes this weekend after the summer break, and Finn Harps swing back into action with a derby clash away to Sligo Rovers this Saturday night. Join Jeremy Doherty and Declan Boyle for live match commentary from 7:45 kickoff at the Showgrounds. Finn Harps live on Highland in association with BNS Credit Union Ballabafay, where they have the perfect holiday loan for you. Don't delay, get your holiday loan today. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. BNS Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
This time of year, we're all thinking about freshening up the paintwork in our homes, bringing colour and vibrancy to our living spaces. But the important thing isn't just the colours we choose, it's the paint. Fleet Wood use the highest quality ingredients for a richer colour and smoother finish that lets you wipe away the marks of everyday life. And it's Irish made, designed to work with the ever-changing Irish light. Would one range of paints transform your home? Fleetwood would. Naturally.
Get ready for Rally Friday at your entertainment HQ, Pulse Venue Letterkenny, with One for the Road, the Tumblin' Paddies and Mark McCabe. Pulse Venue Letterkenny, proud sponsor of Callum Devine Motorsport.
The Lennon Festival is delighted to announce that the RNLI Soapbox Derby will be held in Ramelton on Sunday, the 3rd of July at 2 p.m, with a prize fund of €500. Entry fee per cart is €25, and all carts must be registered by Saturday, the 2nd of July, by calling PJ Boner on 087 2899 232.
Getting value on your shopping has never been more important. That's why at Super Value we have great offers like selected fresh Irish barbecue meats like pork sizzlers, any 3 for €10. Signature Taste breakfast deal, only €5. And get new weekly money off vouchers on the Real Rewards app. For low prices that compete with anyone, it's got to be Super Value.
iMotors, your local Kia and Nissan dealer in both Letterkenny and Malin, would like to wish all participants in this year's Donegal Rally a safe and successful 2022 championship. From all the staff at iMotors, we wish to thank all organisers and ask all spectators to help make this year's Donegal Rally a major success.
Okay, this is an important issue and we will return to it when we have more time, but we're going to have a quick appeal now from Fintan McGrath, who's PRO of the We Care Letterkenny Food Bank. Good morning to you, Fintan.
Good morning, Greg.
The reality is now and into the future, people who never thought they'd need to call on the services of the likes of the food bank, those unemployed, those employed, it's leading to an increase on demand on your services, and donations are going in the wrong direction. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing an increase in the number of new customers coming to the food bank for help. And we've also noticed that it's being a bit more difficult to get donations of non-perishable foods into the food bank. So it continues to be a busy time. There's been no let up since the pandemic.
What is your ask of people if they're out shopping, if they can pick up a few tins of stuff, or are you looking for businesses to donate? How can the public help right now?
Well, we've got, it's the basic non-perishables we need. The pasta, rice, spaghetti, the sauces, all the normal things that people would put in their food bank. And the food bank is open, operates 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 until 2 o'clock. So people could leave their food at the food bank, or we've got collection points at Solo and the community centre and Simpsons. They could leave it at the food donation centre there.
What about the cost of getting this stuff to people? Obviously, those are increasing with the way fuel prices are going. Can people assist in that regard?
Well, we have a very old van which we use for delivering food around the county. It's held together with sort of sticky plasters just about past the NCT. With petrol prices up, it's our biggest cost because we don't have anyone on a payroll, so we're all volunteers, and that's one of our biggest cost items.
Uh-huh. I mean, there's bound to be a company out there that could sponsor a vehicle. You're not looking for a 221, just something that's reliable and more economical and easy to run.
We would love to retire our existing van to that big breaker's yard in the sky.
Right, listen, Fintan, unfortunately we have to go to the end of the show. You've mentioned what people can do, where they can do it. Look, at businesses can get involved in this too. Some of the huge employers, if they organise something through their workers, a load of people could do a little and make a huge difference. And what an amazing gift to anonymously help someone else in your community that needs it. But Fintan, we'll come back to you, hopefully, if you're available, to talk in a bit more detail as to how people can help. I just wanted to give it a quick mention today, if that's okay.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, Fintan McGrath there. Thanks to Donna Marie and Caroline Orr, who worked on the show. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 9 for the Friday panel and all the usual crack. John Bresson's coming up around the Northwest after the news at 12.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 91